Welcome to Saturday's football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McManus is with me as we bring you a comprehensive roundup of all that's happening in Scottish football, especially in the last 16 of the Scottish Cup. There are some key matches, could be a shock on the cards. We suggested it yesterday and it looks as if it's coming to fruition. We'll discuss that. We'll also bring you reaction from managers and players at the end of the game. And let's not forget, we've got a competition which will finish today and then we'll announce the winner on Monday. If you do get a chance on this Saturday, hit the subscribe button and join the football family. We're uncensored, unbiased, unmatched, and giving you as much football content as you can possibly take. And if you download the app, it's at your fingertips there with all the breaking football news. So let's first of all go through the results or the half-time scores coming in from the Scottish Cup, because at that point I think a lot of people will be looking on with great interest at what's happening in the fifth round. Hamilton Accies 0, Hearts 2 was the match that finished last night. Ayr United 0, Elgin City 1, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 0, Livingston 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 0, and that scoreline, Raith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0. We're about to go to Starks Park, but no surprise to you or I, Tam.
No, we tipped it yesterday. Motherwell really struggling at the minute. Raith Rovers playing with a lot of confidence, and listen, I think it's, you know, Stephen Hamill's only a young manager, but it's the biggest team talk of his life so far in that dugout.
Yeah, incredible that scoreline. And well, we sent two of our intrepid reporters out there. One of them played for Raith Rovers and for Motherwell as well, Ali Graham, and he's there with our reporter Patrick Mullen to give us the half-time on that one. We'll come to that in just a moment. We're just waiting for the report coming in from Ali and Patrick. Elsewhere at Tannadice, it's Dundee United in that match against Kilmarnock. They played less than a couple of weeks ago against each other in the league. Let's find out what the first 45 minutes looks like with our reporter Claire Kinnaird.
It's Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 0. It was around about 15 minutes. Kilmarnock shouted for a penalty after a potential handball from Scott McMahon, but with no VAR here today, that was dismissed. Then 5 minutes before half-time, Killie pushing forward again with a shot from Rory McKenzie, a long shot that Berigiti managed to push away. A couple of minutes later, it was Kyle Vassell that took a similar shot, and once again, Berigiti saving that. Pretty non-eventful first half here at Tannadice. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 0.
Well, let's hope Claire gets a little bit more excitement in the second half. She was just crying out for something to tell us there.
She's freezing there, I think. She's bored the first half, but hopefully she'll get a few goals in the second half.
Yeah, we'll be going to Starks Park shortly, but hi to Jason Craig. He's in Aberdeen. Afternoon from Tenby in Wales. Steve Stewart, great to have you on board. Thank you to so many of you. Thanks to Paddy Devlin. He says, I love the new set. Yep, we've been decorating, Tam. I'm well happy with it. Are you?
Yep, brilliant. As I said, it's spruced up the whole studio, and it's looking good to be freshen up. Always, what's the trick?
Yeah, I can tell you it's a goal for Morton. Jack Baird has scored. I'm having an absolute shocker in the last 60 seconds. Morton 3, Queen's Park 1. That's a wee shocker as well, because Queen's Park have been going well, albeit they lost in the Cup.
It is. You know, they're top of the league, and that was a wee chance for them today to go, you know, a few more points clear of United and Dundee, who are probably their nearest rivals. So yeah, that's quite a shock result.
Hi to Stephen Healy is out there. You ever been to Sydney?
No, I've never been to Australia before, no.
I quite fancy it, actually. Really, that's...
It's too far. What is that, 20 hours or something?
It's a long flight, but nevertheless, I think I've got it on the bucket list, along with Graceland. But then again, it's too long a story to tell you, Tom. But thanks to so many of you for telling us where you are watching us. Let's go to Starks Park to get an update on what happened in the first 45 minutes. Ali Graham is speaking to Patrick Mullen.
I'm here at Starks Park, and it's Raith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0. The opening goal coming in the 17th minute from the penalty spot. Callum Slattery handballing in the box. There is Jamie Gollan, who steps up and coolly slots the ball down the middle of the park. The second one came just 6 minutes before the break. Jamie Gollan again with a strike. That was deflected. Liam Kelly's just fumbled it, and there is Sam Stanton who follows it in. Ali, what a half. Motherwell were horrendous once again.
Well, you would think the Raith Rovers were the SPL side They've dominated from the start. Aidan Conley's been outstanding. Scott Brown, their captain's driving them from midfield. They have been the better team. They're actually getting the ball down the basket more than the Premiership team. And Motherwell just lumping balls up the park, hoping for something to happen that isn't happening. There's a big shock in the cards here.
A huge half-time team talk for Stephen Hamill. We'll be back at full time with a full match roundup. So see you then.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Ali's just summed it up there. If Motherwell are just going for Route 1, I mean, I'm not surprised at that, Tam, because I watched them last week, and really they were just absolutely bereft of any idea of how to actually just string 3 or 4 passes together. The confidence is gone from them. The players are not playing for Stephen Hamill. If we get to the end of the game here, is there a major decision for that board on Stephen Hamill's future?
Yeah, I think it is. I think the manner defeat. I think if they go down, 2-3-0 today, and they're battered by Raith Rovers, a championship team, then I think the board will have a big decision to make. Listen, Stephen will go in there at half time. As I said, it's a big team talk for him. Him and Brian Kerr have got to rally the troops. They've got to get a reaction second half, and they've got to come out and show the fans that they're playing for the jersey. And according to Ali and Patrick, that's been one-way traffic, and that's not acceptable for the 2,000 Motherwell fans that have travelled to the game. Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep you up to date with all the developments at Starks Park. We'll also keep you up to date with what's happening at the Tony Macaroni Arena, because the one thing that I did see from some of the early pictures that were coming in was quite simply, I saw one static picture which is just basically 2 players playing to an empty stand, and it's demoralising when you see that. It's just the camera unfortunately set up there. Yeah. It's just going towards the away fans, and if there's not a big away support, then it's just that full stand that's empty. All the Livingston fans are in the main stand, so yeah, it's not great. The optics are not great, but that's just the way the stadium's set up and the cameras are set up, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll hear from our reporter Adam Binney ahead of Celtic's match against St Mirren, and over and above that we'll look ahead and hear from Michael Beale and Ian McCall as they prepare to lock horns. 2 friends since Michael Beale's return to Glasgow. We'll hear from the Rangers manager and the Partick Thistle boss a little later on. Rangers against Partick Thistle on the Sunday, and then on the Monday it's Darvel against Falkirk. Is there, well, not so much of a cup shock, but is there progression for Darvel into the last 8? That certainly would be a story and a half. And as we discussed the other day there, I wonder if the Darvel manager has got another inspiring speech. I don't think it's any given Sunday, as we've been discussing, but you never know, he might just come up with something that galvanises everyone. Yeah, I think he'll need to go something to replicate the one he done against Aberdeen. The players responded to that. Whether he does the same again, we don't know. But I think the surprise factor's gone. I spoke about it yesterday. The surprise factor's gone from Darvel. I think Falkirk will respect him. I think Aberdeen, I don't think gave them a lot of respect, and they paid the price. So Falkirk will go down there, and respect him and try and win the game. But I'm looking forward to it. I think that will be the tie of the weekend. That's a very, very difficult one to call. Do you want another wee shocker? Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 0. That is a scoreline that you just would not have put on. No, Airdrie have been going well actually. They've been flying up the table, but you think Dunfermline would go there and get a result. So, that's a real shocker. Yeah. Let's hear from Kerry Pollock. She's watching Livingston in their match against Inverness.
Half-time here at the Tony Macaroni Arena. As it stands, at Livingston 0, Inverness 0. Livy were forced to make an early change down the 10-minute mark. Bruce Anderson came off and he was replaced by Christian Montano. Livingston's best chance probably came from Stephen Bradley's free kick, but Mark Ridgers and the Inverness goal did really well to tip it over the bar. Inverness giving Livy something to think about as well in this first 45. They've not been holding back. Their best chance probably came from Daniel Mackay's ball into the box where Billy Mackay was waiting, but it was just too quick as it flashed across the face of the goal before the striker could get a touch on it. I'll be back at full time with another update for you. As it stands here at the Tony Macaroni Arena, Livingston 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 0. Yeah, goals in short supply in the Scottish Cup. Thanks to everyone for interacting with us and engaging with us too. Catherine Kelly is in Spain. It's sunny at the moment. In fact, I don't think Catherine has ever posted "it's raining in Spain." She's just said afternoon from sunny Spain. Paddy says, Peter, can you ask Tam if he's happy that Derry won the Irish Cup last night? Yeah, I seen the result. They beat, I think it was Shamrock Rovers. They beat them 2-0. So Derry have invested heavily this season in their squad and last season, and I
I think it's been a long time since they won the league title over there, so they're going for it this season. Shamrock Rovers again will be the team to beat, but if they can finish above them, then they might just win it this year.
Yeah, I have to say, Rab says, afternoon lads from Nevada.
It'll be warm there.
Well, I was just about to say to you, the one thing I was going to say, when you think about these things, about people who live in really, really hot places, my wife and my daughter went down the west coast, as you know, of America, but when we were heading over to Las Vegas, Motherwell have got a goal back. Kevin Van Veen has got one back. There's a half-time team talk there. There's 51 minutes gone. Van Veen stepped up. Now it's game on time.
It is game on, and as I said, Stephen Hamill had to get a reaction out of the players. I think if you're a board member and you're looking to see the reaction of the players, again, it's not been good enough. Stephen and Brian Kerr again there, they've got to read the riot act to the players, but you've got to get a reaction for them. And perfect start the second half, get the goal back, and game on now for Motherwell.
Yeah, game on, but can they come back and get that equaliser? Do you think it's at breaking point for the Motherwell manager if they go out of the Cup to Raith Rovers, a league below them? You can give us your thoughts on that. Nobody likes to see a manager get sacked. Martin Halley says he's out of his depth. Also, I was going to tell you, in Nevada, we actually got out of the car towards Las Vegas and it was absolutely roasting. 50 degrees. I've never felt heat like it in my life.
Well, I played in America, but I played all over America. The two hottest places I'd played in were Dallas and Houston.
Yeah.
But then I played for Rochester and we played Phoenix. And David Robertson, the ex-Rangers manager, was the manager of their team.
Yeah.
And we went out for a walk during the day, and it was 115 degrees. It was about 100 degrees at night.
Can I just say, Billy Mackay could be providing us with a shock. Remember, Inverness reinstated. He scored. Livingston 0, Inverness 1. I actually had Livingston to win that match. Just tight game, but I had them by a goal. But suddenly, all bets are off. Billy Dodds will be absolutely delighted. Billy Mackay's actually, I think he scored last week. That's back-to-back goals for him.
Listen, he's always scored goals wherever he's been, particularly up north with Ross County and Inverness. So that's certainly that'd be a shock. That's certainly one that nobody's seen coming, especially when you consider that they shouldn't even really been in the tournament, bar administration error. So I said in the show yesterday, zero pressure on Inverness. It's the ultimate free hit when they get in through the back door. So that could be. There's still a long way to go, but that could be a big shock. 13
goals is a good return for Billy Mackay this season, isn't it? I mean, as you said, he's scored goals wherever he's gone.
He has, and as I said, we mostly remember him at Inverness and Ross County. And listen, he's Northern Ireland international, scored goals everywhere he's been. So that could be a really big goal for him.
Yeah. Here's some of the results, just in case you have just joined us on our new Saturday show. Tam and I will be with you, just taking you through all the scores in Scotland and looking at the English Premier League as well. Here's the Championship for you, because it's teams that are out of the Cup. Greenock, Morton, that's 3-1 I think now, 3-1 between Morton and Queen's Park. And also Airdrie 2, Dunfermline 0.
It's 3-0 now
in League One has just gone 3-0, so they're really up against it, and I think when you look at those scorelines, wee bit of a shock, the Airdrie one. I certainly didn't see that one coming, Tam, did you? And of course Queen's Park behind.
No, and Falkirk are keeping pace on them. They keep winning games. They were unlucky, they lost a last minute goal during the week there to reduce the gap to 2 points. So listen, it's going to be out with Dunfermline and Falkirk. Dunfermline were a fair way clear early in the season. Falkirk are putting a run of games together, a run of wins together, and putting the pressure on Dunfermline, and that's a shocker. Dunfermline have been very, very strong defensively this season. I think they've got the best defensive record in that league, and they're getting torn apart at Airdrie today. Yeah, are you surprised with the Elgin score? They're beating Ayr. That's Jason Craig says that's a huge score as well. There's a few shocks today. All the games that we thought would have been straightforward. Livingston, maybe Ayr United, and Motherwell. So there's three potential shocks going on in the Scottish Cup at the minute, but that would be a big one as well. Ayr United flying in the Championship. Yeah, quite a lot of people are saying that now that we've got the studio done, maybe they could do something with your Barnet. That's the great thing about everybody leathering everyone. Paul Brady says Saturday football show with the Jack and Victor of Scottish football.
Peter, I've got the tumbleweed ready for Tam's jokes. Paul, you better get ready for them, because I can see them coming a mile off as I see the wheels going round in his brain. But nevertheless, we will endeavour to bring you up to date with as many of the goals as they hit the back of the net, and we will also discuss the games that are coming up. Have a wee bit of banter as well, because there's a few stories going about that I want to get your thoughts on, Tam, and we'll actually read out some of your mentions as well. There's a great one here from Scottish who says, time will tell, but I wondered if Queen's Park would struggle after losing Simon Murray. I appreciate they aren't a one-man team though, but when you're selling guys that score goals for you, it does have an impact.
Yeah, that was an odd one for me. I think that when you look at him, the top goal scorer captain, it was you're going to tell me something, there's been a goal?
I am. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. Kyle Vassell scored the goal, and
Blair rips his coupon up.
Oh, no, one of our producers obviously is looking to I think actually bank more than a few quid, but it's slipping away as we I think actually they're just trying to bring him round now.
That's another mild shock as well.
Well, it is.
Not really fancy. They've been poor away for home all season.
Not only that, but is Liam Fox's position actually a wee bit better off, because the anger seems to be directed at the board. Tony Asgard is the one who's getting most of the flack, but is that maybe taking their eye off the ball that the manager's just not getting anything out of this side?
Yeah, I think they're underachieving. I think a lot of the performances have been decent. The results haven't been great, but again, Kilmarnock have been poor away from home this season in the league. I know it's a cup game, so they'll probably just go up there and play a bit more freely, but all 4 results I wouldn't have called. Every one of them. I fancied, probably bar Raith Rovers.
Yeah.
But you could call every one of them probably a shock at the minute.
Absolutely. Adam Binney will be out there for Celtic against St Mirren, which is a 5:30 kick-off in the Scottish Cup 5th round. Celtic side just been released: Hart, Johnson, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor, Turnbull gets the start, Moy, Jota, Maeda and Kyogo. So I maybe actually I was looking there, and I'm just looking at their side, and I was wondering if maybe there was a chance of O getting a start, but he's undoubtedly going to come on. This is the type of game that if it's all going according to plan for Ange Postecoglou, he'll throw them on earlier.
Yeah, I think he's learned his lesson against St Mirren, not to go too weak, because he obviously arrested a lot of players at St Mirren Park when they get turned over. So
Turnbull deserves his chance, doesn't he?
He does. I like him. I think he's a really good player. I think he's very unlucky not to be playing more regular. It's just that Celtic have got so much quality in there with McGregor and O'Reilly and Hatate, but David Turnbull is an extremely good young player.
Got to get your thoughts, Tam, on the result from last night. Hamilton 0, Hearts 2. It was a hard watch, I have to say. I just absolutely despise that park. But the great thing was seeing 4,000 Hearts fans there. I mean, they take a great support with them now, because quite simply, when they're winning, the fans want to see it.
Yeah, as I said, Hibs and Hearts and the teams are going well. You're going to get 3,000-4,000 travelling to the games. It makes the atmosphere. I think that I thought they huffed and puffed the second half. They got the goal in the first half, and I thought this was going to be 3 or 4-0. Credit to Hamilton Accies, they stuck in, they dug in, they stayed in the game, and then Devlin gets the second goal. That was game over. But I didn't think it was a great Hearts performance. But at the end of the day, cup football's all about getting into the next round, and Hearts managed to do that.
Yeah, Robbie Nielsen himself was happy with the 2-0, of course. Humphrey scoring Cammy Devlin, but I think because of the huge turnout of fans, he wanted to entertain them a little bit more.
That's right, but you still want to put a performance on. We brought 4,000 fans here tonight. Cold, rainy, February day, so they need to be entertained. And at times we did, at times we didn't. I just think we need to be a wee bit more, clinical with the stuff we do.
Yeah, I can understand where he's coming from, because at times I said it was a hard watch, and I think the second goal just put the tin lid on it. There was no way back for Hamilton Accies, but I don't think they should feel too despondent, Tam. I thought they gave a good account of themselves. Remember, this is a team at the foot of the table who have just suddenly over the last 5 or 6 games started to wake up, maybe just starting to gel and respond to what John Rankin's trying to do.
Yeah, I think that early in the season, I think he was under pressure, the manager. I think the results were poor. The performances were poor. They took a few heavy tankings, and he's managed to bring a couple of players in. Hamilton have always been a club that introduces young players. 2 young players come on last night, Armandoni and McGinn, Chrissy McGinn, who both were at school last year at Braidhurst. So it's great to see these boys doing well, and Hamilton are a great club for that, and giving young players an opportunity. And the main thing for them this season is try to stay in the Championship. They're in a dogfight with Arbroath at the bottom. Last night was a bonus. They got a few quid, I think, for the gate money. So maybe, I don't know if John will get that, but the main thing for them this season is just try to stay in the division.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John Rankin himself was quick to praise a lot of the younger players that he threw into the team, despite the fact that they went out.
It's not going to affect their confidence at all. As I said, I'm really pleased with them. The dressing room, they're proud of themselves tonight. We've got young guys in that pitch and putting on Chrissy McGinn, 17-year-old, Ryan Oney, 16-year-old, and they felt at home and they felt comfortable in that environment, and that's what we're trying to create here. I'm really pleased with the older ones. They led the younger ones really well, but more so we had to be disciplined without the ball tonight, and I felt we were that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done to John, actually, because the last thing you want to do is try and just demoralise your team after going out in the Cup, but he's realistic in the prospects for Hamilton Accies and what they have to do. And quite a lot of you saying Hamilton have shown enough in the last few games that they should be able to climb a few places before the end of the season. I agree with Rab. He says it's 112 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer in Nevada. Far too warm for Scottish people. Rab, what are you doing out there? Please tell me you're drilling for oil and you're coming back. Kenneth Young says we should never have any plastic pitches in the top flight of Scottish football. Kenneth, I am 100% with you on that. I think it's absolutely poor. Paddy Devlin says, Peter, is Tam going to do a set at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival? Well, it would be an oxymoron if Tam did a set at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. There's just one word there that contradicts what Tam's act's all about. So it wouldn't be
comedy.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Tam. But I'll tell you one thing. You know, when you think of some of them that are on the Edinburgh Festival, you could stand up there and give a hi. I'm Tam McManus. Let me tell you about my career. Which, by the way, if anybody ever gets the chance, there's quite a few people. Somebody sent me a text last night and said, you know, by the way, I've heard Tam, I think it was, I don't know if it was Queensferry or something like that you were speaking at.
That's right, aye.
He said, my dad said he was a thoroughly enjoyable act. So, you know, the set is really good. Thoroughly enjoy.
You like somebody down the luck and downtrodden, then you like that?
Well, I think actually what happens is people go in and realise that they're not as bad off as they first thought when they're listening to you. There's another goal in the match at the Tony Macaroni Arena. I'll keep you up to date with that. That's coming in from Livingston 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 2. Oh, Sean Welsh has scored. That's a shocker, isn't it?
That is a shocker.
That is
a cooting buster. I think that you know, when you look at your league positions, Livingston in the league this season been excellent. Inverness in a bit of decent form, but you know, still, you know, struggled I think this season over the Peace. That's a real shocker.
Well, that is I must admit, I did not see that one coming.
Can you imagine Davy Martindale in the dressing room at full time?
I hope somebody records it. It'll be it won't be comedy gold. It'll be tearing strips off the wallpaper. To be honest with you, a lot of people asking if we're going to have pundits versus the fans on the Predictor next season. I think we've found the platform to do it,
right.
And I think we're going to incorporate it into the app, Tam, which I think would be absolutely fantastic.
Surely you'll beat you.
Well, the other great thing about it is the reason why I think it would be good is if we do a weekly prize, then a monthly prize, and then the big prize for someone who actually not only maybe beats the pundits, because I think that's perfectly easy to do, but it'd be good for somebody to get a really big prize at the end of it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
We can come up with something.
You've got plenty of stuff in here in Aladdin's Cave to give one of the punters, but no, it'd be interesting to see how them putting their wits up against us, because I think some of us are no bad at predicting and some of us are hopeless. Yeah,
Morton 3, Queen's Park 2, Oney Coyle suddenly reading the riot act to them. Dunfermline have got one back again now, and it's now Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 2, so the fight back's on for James McPake's side.
It certainly is. You know, 2 quick goals in the second half and game on. That'll be some comeback. That could be a season defining one if Dunfermline come back and win that.
Yeah.
You know, the confidence they'll get to go and win the league probably.
You know, a lot of people, and I think Iron Blue here says on, I quite like that as a tagline, Iron Blue. He's on our YouTube feed and he's mentioned the fact that it's a great idea to get everybody involved in the Predictor for next season. We're really looking forward to it. Hopefully we've got lots of additional programming. new people coming on board. You've always got to make signings to make you stronger again, Tam, haven't you? And then get rid of the odd badge kisser here and there, because just telling you, can't have any badge kissers, Tam. Don't turn into it. If I hear the cock crow 3 times and I know that you're off ski, that happens to the best of us. Ruffy's still with us on a regular basis, Monday to Friday. He has the odd day off, Tam, as well, which I'm not happy about.
Taking a few days off, isn't he?
He has actually. He's taken more days off this season than he has in his entire 10 years with us, which is incredible. But to be fair, I think that's by royal consent. Now
there's MBE now, you can pick and choose.
Absolutely. A lot of people talking about that competition, which we are working on at the moment. But the one thing that I think you will enjoy is it's the last day of our competition for 2 great books, and Kerry has the details.
This is your chance to win one of these fantastic books that looks back at the classic shirts throughout both clubs' history. You can read about your favourite shirt and your favourite season as a Celtic or Rangers supporter. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is tell us which book you would like to win in the comment section below. And to double your chances of winning, hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant prize. I've had a look through both books at the great history of the strips. Some that you automatically associate to a player, and then of course some that you look at and you think that season was magical. And you're going through and you think to yourself, there are some strips that I think, okay, that's Ali McCoist, or that's a Brian Laudrup, or that's a John Gregg. You go further back, and maybe a lot of Rangers fans would look and say, okay, that was maybe a George Young. And then equally, there's people saying, oh, that's definitely a Henrik Larsson, that's a Bobby Lennox, that's a Kenny Dalglish, that's a Bertie Peacock. There's a name that's a great 1950s name, isn't it? Bertie Peacock.
Bertie Peacock, no idea who that is, but
yeah,
probably a great player.
He was actually. He was a good player.
I just had a look through, and I remember playing against Celtic when I was first coming through at Hibs, and it was the NTL. It was NTL was the sponsor at Celtic, and it was a yellow strip, I remember. Going that big European run, but no, if you go through the books, as you said, you associate a player. When you see a strip, you immediately think of a player that wore that strip. And going back, the strips were so plain, but that's all coming back now. The retro strips, you go back to 40s, 50s, and it was just a strip with a badge. There was no sponsor, no nothing. And now you obviously seen the Scotland strip the other day. Pretty plain with the retro strip and the round neck and the old-fashioned badge.
This is for the 150th anniversary.
Yep.
Yeah. Can I just say something, Tom? You mentioned that about strips. We've had some belter. I mean, we've given away a Rangers, the Europa League campaign shirt and the programme from the final. We've given away a Jota canvas signed by the man himself. Those books are there. Next week we've got a belter, because what I made a point of saying to our reporters in the Champions League is get something from the shop so that our viewers, podcast listeners could all share in it. Also next week we've got a belter from one of the Champions League clubs. The week after, I mean, I've got it right now, it was delivered yesterday. I was itching to get this one, and I think 2 weeks from now, I think a lot of people are going to be happy with the strip that we've got on the right hand side there, Tam.
It's a cracker. I would wear that up the 5 sides.
Yeah,
it's a chopper.
It is an absolute belter. So if you really like and enjoy the competitions, sometimes it's just about just hitting the subscribe button. That gives you a chance to win the prizes. But also, if you tell your friends, hit the subscribe button and answer some very simple questions in our quiz. Gordon McLean says, Peter, do you remember Bertie Peacock? Don't remember him playing, but I do know a bit about him. So it's as simple as that. And Paul Brady says, Peter, if I don't win, I'm going to buy the book anyway. Paul, you will not be disappointed. Both books are absolutely fantastic. Thanks to so many of you for joining us on the programme. Janice is in Airdrie. Hi, Janice. Airdrie, just as vital as Nevada. That's all I'm saying to you, Tom. When people tune into us. Also, I can tell you, we've got an absolute belter here as well that I spotted. Eamon, who joins us from Donegal. So thanks, Eamon, for joining us. There's people from all over the place joining us from all different sets of parties.
I used to like a wee trip over to Donegal when I played for Derry. Obviously you had to change your sterling into euro over the border, but Buncrana Beach, great place, beautiful place. Ballybunion, really, really nice Donegal, and a nice place to live. And it was also a lovely place called Muff.
Yeah.
Don't know if you've ever heard of that place.
No, Murphy's.
You might be able to tell us about Muff.
I think Ruffy's been there. What can I just say to you that Paddy Devlin says, Peter, the winner of the predictor should get invited to the PLZ party. It's a tall order, Tam, isn't it? Because it's such a good night of people getting absolutely bladdered, and there's no question what stays. What happens on tour stays on tour.
Yes.
So, by the way, what about Leicester 4, Tottenham 1? I mean, that scoreline is outrageous.
It is, particularly when Tottenham beat Man City last week.
I know.
And you think to yourself, they're on the way up again, and it's a great result for Newcastle. They're on their tail for 4th place, so a great result for Leicester.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to quite a lot of you who there are some people who just see a dark cloud on a sunny day. That's all I'm saying to you. You can start a riot on here with some of the things. Nicholas, who's basically just got up and he's in a bad mood.
Right.
He's not happy with anybody. He's not happy with the world. So he's just decided to leather everything that we say. So he started by saying, what on earth is that on your chin? Nicholas, we've been asking that question on a regular basis. What is on Tam's chin? But he's sticking with it because if his wife likes it, that's half the battle. And then Nicholas goes on to say she doesn't. No. But you're just doing it to annoy her. Okay. And thanks to Nicholas, who's not happy with Donegal either. He doesn't like Donegal.
Oh, right.
So there you are. Nicholas, just take it easy, enjoy yourself, relax. It's only a game of football. Hopefully things will be all right for you tonight. Saturday night, Tam, I don't know about you, but there were times on Saturday night where I knew I was heading out 7 o'clock, and I knew I wouldn't be back in till about 5:30 the next morning. I could really
early night.
Well, I could absolutely batter it.
A couple of nights then, but I think I could just turned up straight to training.
Well, funny you should say that. I'm going to Edinburgh tonight, and I don't know how long I'm going to last. Certainly not in the days of old, but I'm going to give it a real good try. So a good wee night out. And the good thing is that you did tell me, Tam, and I'm looking forward to that as we're talking about football, is the fact that the American football it kicks off the Super Bowl tomorrow at 11:30, and you've got the boys coming over, your best mates or people that just you're trying to hang about with at the moment, who are going round to your house, and they're going to be there till 4 a.m.
They are, and I've obviously put the begging note into the wife to make sure they can stay. So no, listen, I think there's 5 of them coming round tomorrow night, so I think it'll be a great night. Hope it's a good game. Rihanna's a half-time show, a few beers, watch it, and hopefully the Philadelphia Eagles win as well.
Yeah, that'll be, you might hope they'll win it. I'm certainly hoping that Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City absolutely leather them, but it's going to be a belter. And I'll tell you one thing, it's been a while, but Leicester City's goal has been disallowed. It's back to 3-1. That took an age, didn't it? I mean, honestly, from the minute we were actually thinking it's 4-1, and now it's been reduced to 3-1. Southampton won, Wolves won.
10 men as well.
Yeah, that's really a battle going on there with Wolves. Can I just say to you that we're going to talk about some of the other stories that are making the headlines today. We'll be talking about Celtic's financial results. We'll be talking to Adam Binney, who will be previewing Celtic against St Mirren, which kicks off at 5:30 tonight. We'll also talk about Georgios Giakoumakis, who's had a wee go at Scottish football. We'll be discussing Barry Robson, whether he's in with a real shout of getting that Aberdeen job. Rangers Partick Thistle, we'll hear from Michael Beale and Ian McCall, and we'll also maybe throw in Brian Graham, who has got an interesting take on the game. And then we'll talk about Malik Tillman and Darvel against Falkirk. I think we've got quite a lot to talk about. Arsenal 1, Brentford 1. Tam, Ivan Toney, who has been absolutely sensational since he signed for Brentford. Celtic actually had him in the building to sign him, and then just didn't stump up the cash.
That must have a big regret for the Celtic fans when you see how well he's done at Brentford. Absolutely lethal, probably the best penalty taker as well I've ever seen. Don't think he's ever missed. That was a big blow. He'd have scored a barrel load up here for Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. Paddy says, Peter, if Kansas win, Tam should shave off his bum fluff. Very good point, Paddy. Can't see it happening, to be perfectly honest with you.
Get the catty lick it off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's It's just you're going to hell. That's where you're going. There are some really good games on offer this afternoon in the English Premier League. Of course, Arsenal won, Brentford won. You've got Crystal Palace against Brighton, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Leicester, Tottenham, Southampton, Wolves, and Bournemouth against Newcastle with Eddie Howe's return to Bournemouth. But of course, we're keeping you right up to date with all things Scottish too. We will hear from Pep Guardiola, but I can tell you, ahead of that game, Celtic against St Mirren, great financial results, everything looking rosy in the garden. So we sent our reporter out there. He's looking forward to Celtic against St Mirren. If St Mirren were to produce a shock there, that would certainly send shockwaves right across the game. They really are underdogs, Adam Binney.
Yeah, no doubt St Mirren are underdogs for this one. If I think anyone's going to beat Celtic based off recent results, then that would be St Mirren. The last Scottish team to beat Celtic was St Mirren back in September. They got that 2-0 victory in Paisley. In addition to that, they're the last Scottish team to beat Celtic here. That was 2 years ago, back in January 2021. Well, you're talking about financial results as well. Everything looks brilliant for Celtic. Not the same for St Mirren. Of course, they posted their financial results last month, which proved to be quite damning. But it's fixtures like this against Celtic at Celtic Park, when you get half of the gate sales in the cup, that can be huge for this cup financially. If they can get another to the next stage, to the quarterfinals, or perhaps even to Hampden in the semis, then things all of a sudden start to look brilliant for St Mirren again. But you're right, underdogs. And to be honest, Peter, I can't see past Celtic for this one.
Yeah, we'll probably go back to Adam. The one thing that's just a wee bit of a problem is his microphone. Looks as if it's turned down a wee bit low. I don't know if we can alter that for him. It's just a wee bit lower than it should be, because the one thing about Adam is we love to get him live on the programme. He's everywhere. He's live, and he's always good technically. Usually he's absolutely on the mark with it. So we'll try and get back to him. But it just shows you he's out there, and he's given me the he's given me the thumbs up. Of course, the one thing that's a real worry for everyone, we're talking about the strength, Adam, of English clubs and the money that they have at their disposal. Celtic, it's over £30 million worth of profit they've announced. It just shows you the enormity that any team has to try and knock them out of cup tournaments or take that title away from them. They're even stronger since they had that run in the Champions League last season with Ange.
Yeah, hopefully we've resolved the technical issue. I've turned the microphone up to its maximum volume, so if you can't hear me, then I'm afraid it's the strength of the one that's killing us, as it is killing my hair, as I can see just now. But yeah, financial results for Celtic, excellent, boosted by that Champions League money, of course. And I don't know if you heard anything I said before, but I was talking about St Mirren managing to be the last Scottish team to beat Celtic, both here and when they beat them in Paisley back in September. So it was really, really difficult to look past Celtic for this one. I would absolutely imagine them to stroll through it. But I think what I wanted to talk about on here, Peter, was the teams. I was quite surprised when the lineups came out. I thought might have been given a chance to start today. I thought Haksabanovic might have made a return to the starting 11 from his injury. St Mirren, I know it's going to be back to the wall defending for them, as you would expect, but they're without Charles Dunn. Just looking through the starting 11s, I couldn't believe he wasn't playing. He must be injured. I'll speak to Stephen Robinson about that after the game to find out what's going on there, but that's a huge blow for St Mirren.
And just before you head into the stadium, Adam, I think the other issue here is Ange has so much strength on the bench. We thought maybe might have got a start in this one, but if Celtic get themselves a good advantage, I would imagine he'll make significant changes with league games coming up in mind, so that none of the key players pick up any injuries, and he lets some of the substitutes try and stake their place in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why Celtic are so strong. They're able to have that strength and depth and rotate it from time to time, which I'm very surprised they didn't rotate more from the start. But if you do see them take an early lead, perhaps get 2 at half time, then you will start to see more substitutes make appearances. I thought, as you said, he might have came in from the start today, but he'll definitely be looking for some minutes to perhaps try and get that first Celtic goal to kick-start his Celtic career.
Yeah, well done to Adam. Of course, sometimes the other aspect that's really difficult is getting yourself caught in a wind tunnel, and that right there is a wind tunnel. But the man has done well. Well done to Adam there, just giving us a lovely
Batter the hairspray as well.
Well, he is, and just as Adam was talking there, just two girls giving us the classic wave behind it. He always seems to attract people in the back of his shots that wave to us. It's great. He was up at St Johnstone Rangers, and you just watch two Rangers fans just coming towards him and waving. It was absolutely priceless. But Adam is absolutely top drawer. I can tell you, it's 3 each now. Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 3. What a fight back, Matthew Todd.
What a comeback that is. I think at half time James McPate would have read the riot act, and they've come out second half, 3-0 down to come back, and there's still time to go and get a winner. 10 minutes to go, so that could be a massive result in the title race in the League One.
By the way, I'll tell you right now, it's not looking good for Dundee United. Ayena's been sent off. They're down to 10 men.
Yeah, I think that'll be curtains for them then in that tie. As I said, Kilmarnock got up there. Great result for them if they go through to the next round. But Dundee United another poor result. And as you said, I don't think the pressure really were on the manager, but I think the spotlight will be on him after that result and results got the last couple of weeks.
Yep, absolutely. And I can tell you, Inverness are 3-0 up on Livingston. Billy Mackay scored again. I mean, Livingston are out. That is a major shock.
It's a shocker. And as I said, maybe a bit of complacency set in with Livingston. Inverness coming down. You beat obviously off at Queen's Park. Maybe some of the players think it's going to be an easy game. I know they lost Bruce Anderson in the first 10 minutes as well, which was a blow to them. So that's a shocking result, but it's a fantastic result for Dodsey and for Inverness. And I said yesterday, Inverness are a good cup team. They've always put together good cup runs over the last 10-15 years, even longer. And they're a team you don't really want to bump into in the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, Sean Welsh scoring the other goal for Inverness in that match. Just as we heard from Adam Binney, who will obviously be watching the match for us and providing us with reports on our social media channels right across the evening. So keep it locked to not only PLZ Soccer on YouTube, but the reports will come in on Twitter and Facebook too. And Tam and myself are with Kerry Pollock this morning because there's a new Saturday preview show. It's been ongoing, as well as this Saturday evening results service for you, and a wee bit of banter and reading out some of your mentions. It's been absolutely fantastic. The big news so far is quite simply that it looks as if Motherwell are under pressure to try and find that equaliser. They're 2-1 down to Raith Rovers at Starks Park, so there could be a major shock coming there. Dundee United up against Kilmarnock. Dundee United now with a second yellow card for defender Loic Ayena on his debut, no less. So he is now off, and they're down to 10 men, and they're really up against it. So Charlie Mulgrew at times has been throwing himself forward. It just shows you now he was maybe just starting to take himself out of the equation, but suddenly he's back in that lineup and trying to offer some kind of stability to United. But it's not going to be too solid at the back now with 10 men on the park. They're going to be up against it, conceding a lot of possession.
Yeah, they'll just go for it now. As well, getting beat 2-3-0 doesn't matter. They'll start to push players forward to try and get extra time. It could be a cracking result for Kilmarnock, to be honest. I think that away from home they've been poor, but that could be a great result for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, Leicester 4, Tottenham 1.
That's not
Barnes. If you hang on for half an hour, we'll see if that goal stands. Let me take you through the teams for Celtic against St Mirren. Joe Hart, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carl Starfelt, Greg Taylor, Callum McGregor. David Turnbull starts for Celtic in this match. Kyogo, Jota, Maeda and Alistair Johnson and Aaron Moy. For St Mirren, Ryan Strain in goal. Kiana Bacchus, Mark O'Hara, Curtis Main has been playing really well of late. Alec Grieve, Marcus Fraser, Alexander Gogic, Richard Taylor, Declan Gallagher and Trevor Carson there as well. So there you have it. Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 4. The Dunfermline fans, Nikolai Todorov.
Dancing in the streets of Dunfermline.
That's outrageous, isn't it? And Raith Rovers have scored again. Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1. And the man who came in, Ismail Goncalves, has scored. He was actually one of those players that I remember. I think he was at Hearts. He joined from Livingston.
Won the League Cup at St Mirren.
Yeah, and now suddenly he's got the goal that looks as if it's going to consign Motherwell to a Scottish Cup exit. That is a major shock, and I know you said it was breaking point. I think I'm with you on this one. I think this could be the point where, you know, the board look at Stephen Hamill and saying this is just not working, because you can't go out to a lower league side like that on the back of this poor form.
Yeah. I think Stephen's under serious pressure now. I think the fact there's a big Motherwell support there, I think they'll let their feelings known at the end of the game as well. The board always take that on note. You know, I think they'll get booed off. It's a really poor result, and Stephen really needed a result today. And you know, it might be that they speak to Stephen and decide to cut ties with him tonight after the game. But you know, that is a dreadful result, and it's actually a great day for the Championship. You look at Inverness and Raith Rovers both beating Premier League teams at the minute. And you know, we always say that the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is big, but looking at those results today, there's not much between, you know, the top. You know, Livingston are sitting in the top 6 at the minute, you know, and they're losing at home to Inverness, and Raith Rovers beating Motherwell. So there's maybe not as big a gap as people think.
Yeah. Did I throw out the quiz question today, Tam?
No,
I don't know if I did.
No, I don't think so.
I should have actually. I mean, usually we put it on a little strap, but I'll throw it out anyway, because it was, when was the last time Hearts won the Scottish Cup? That's a belter of a question. Remember, don't say it right now. We'll give the answer out before the end. The one thing that sticks in my head is, you know, it was quite momentous, to say the very least. That's all I'm going to say to you. When was the last time Hearts won the Scottish Cup? And Hearts looking at this moment to try and get into what would be their 4th final in 5 years. It's good going.
Yeah, it's good for the coffers. You know, the finance.
Ayr United won, Elgin won. So that was a big equaliser there, because Elgin looked as if it could have been a day of major shocks right across, because it looks as if United are going out to Kilmarnock, okay, 2 Premier League sides, but when you consider at Starks Park it's now 3-1 in that match. It's the 2 managers that were under pressure at the start of the Scottish Cup matches today. Of course, Liam Fox and Stephen Hamill. Stephen Hamill, obviously, I think, is the one manager under the greater pressure. Is that fair, Tom?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that Stephen's, you know, well aware that he needs results. And as I said, from that result, the last couple of results, the fans have been turning on him. I've sensed a shift in that. You know, from being a club legend who they were prepared to give time to. Now it's, you know, they want results, or they want the manager change. So I think that you know, that'll be louder tonight. It's particularly in social media, which is such a big part of football at the minute. I think you'll see a lot of Motherwell fans shouting for a new manager tonight after that result. Yeah,
it's the top of the table Celtic who are taking on 6th position St Mirren. St Mirren have been going great guns, 3 wins out of the last 4 matches, and I think a lot of Saints fans well happy with what Stephen Robinson is doing there in Paisley. I can tell you Southampton won Wolves 2. So Nathan Jones, Nathan Jones is under a lot of pressure, down to 10 men, 2-1 behind now at home. So that's going to be one of those matches we'll keep our eye on as well, because he's another manager. Sadly, a lot of managers now not getting a lot of time, but you know, chairman, board members, chief executives are quick to wield the axe. It could be up for Nathan Jones. What's the future like for Stephen Hamill? They're 3-1 behind at the moment to Raith Rovers. Just on that Celtic St Mirren game, I talked about the form of St Mirren. The form of Celtic on the park and off the park is incredible, because the profits, 34 million. They've got over 50 million in the bank. There's plans to improve Barrafield for the academy and for the women's team, and let's not forget that the 11 million that they banked for Giacomakis and Juranovic is not in these figures.
Yeah, I think that the balance sheets at Celtic over the last 10 to 15 years have been tremendous. It's been a credit to Peter Lawwell, the board, the recruitment team, buying low, selling high, and obviously getting into the Champions League this season was massive, last season, sorry. And, the money you bank for that is huge. They're in a very strong financial position, but they've always stayed within their means. They're not going to go out and buy somebody for 20 million because they've got 50 million in the bank. That's not how it works at Celtic. They'll have a big wage bill now, and under Ange Postecoglou they've spent money, but they've also recouped money with transfer fees. So it's a great business model for any club in Europe to look at Celtic and the way they go about their business. Some fans will be wanting Celtic to go and spend more money on players. and make a greater impression in the Champions League. But you've got to live within your means, and as long as Celtic are Scottish football, they just can't go and buy players at 15-20 million pounds.
Yeah, I did mention Giakoumakis there. He's had a wee swipe at Scottish football. Here's some of his quotes when he obviously was paraded at Atlanta. He says at Celtic it was a totally different style of play. The competition there is not so good. There are two clubs, and the other clubs try to defend. Most of the opponents were trying to block us in their box. We were keeping possession and trying to create spaces to score in a different way. I think this league is a bit more competitive. He's talking about the MLS. They all try to play, so I think it will find even more space in the back of their defence and create more problems. So he thinks the MLS is a far more competitive league. Well, I don't think anybody can be peeved with what Georgios Giakoumakis has to say, because, you want an opinion, you want an honest assessment of it, and I think he's right on the basis that you only have to look at what's happening in our league. Two really strong clubs, Hearts 19 or so points away from the second place club, Rangers. And the performances in Europe have not been good enough for a lot of our clubs when they go into the preliminary rounds of European competition. Yeah,
I totally agree with him, actually. I think that when you look at the strength of Scottish football, you take out the top two in Scottish football, I don't think any of them would do that well in MLS. I think the MLS is a better league, it's a stronger league, it's more competitive. You've got a lot of good teams, good players over there. I think you'll enjoy playing in the MLS because there's no standout teams over there. There's no teams you go and park the bus. All the teams go and attack.
Yeah,
he'll get plenty of chances. I think he'll score a barrel load of goals in the MLS because it's a league that's set up for goals and attacking football, and he'll not be playing against 11 men strewn across the 18-yard box. So no, I think he's spot on there. I think he's right, and sadly that's what happens. You can't, if you're a St Mirren manager or a Motherwell manager, you can't go to Celtic and Rangers and have a go. You'll get slaughtered, so that's just the way it is.
Yeah, full time in that match, Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 4 in League One. That is an incredible result. What a match that is.
3-0 down, wow.
Yeah, Ayr and Elgin are going into extra time. 1-1 in the match at Somerset Park. Morton 3, Queen's Park 2. The fight back didn't quite materialise to get at least a point for Owen Coyle's side. So a good win for Dougie Imrie. He's doing a really good job down there at Morton.
He is, and that's a really, really competitive league. I think if you're a Dundee fan or an Ayr United fan, you're enjoying that result, because I think it's between the three of them to win that league now. I think that Dundee now got a couple of games in hand. I think they're 4 points behind Queen's Park, so they'll rightfully think that they can go and win the league now, Dundee. But it's a great result for Morton. Gets aiming about the playoffs again.
Yeah, absolutely. We will keep you right up to date with what's happening for the first half hour at least of Celtic against St Mirren, and we'll get the reaction from some of the managers to the full-time results. The big one is undoubtedly at Starks Park. Raith Rovers 3-1 up at the moment, and I think all the Motherwell fans are waiting for is to voice their real displeasure at the performance of the team and the manager, and you just wonder if Stephen Hamill can see out that tonight as the Motherwell boss. Although, to be honest with you, I think Alan Burrows would quite happily drive up to Aberdeen now so that he doesn't have to wield the axe ahead of his departure.
Yeah, I think obviously Alan and Stephen Hamill have known each other for a number of years. Stevens was, apart from I think a spell at Southend, was at Motherwell his whole career. But big decisions have got to be made. It's not time for sentiment. And you need results. And Stephen's well aware of that. And he'll be fearing for his job tonight when the final whistle goes.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks to Stuart McKinnon, who says I'm tuning in from Stockholm. Stuart is a big fan of the show and regular right across our social media. And of course, he's just
must be freezing over there now.
Well, he's just saying, is Tam will ever get rid of that goat thing that's on his chin? We've talked about it ad nauseum, Stuart, but he's sticking with it, even though his wife hates it. But it's as simple as that. One full time that's happened at the Tony Macaroni Arena, and that is quite simply that Livingston are out of the Scottish Cup, defeated by 3-0 today. Tam, what about that for a full-time scoreline? Billy Mackay, the hero for Inverness.
It's a great result for Inverness. I don't think anyone's seen that coming. they've certainly took their second chance with both hands. You know, we spoke about a free hit, and that was the biggest of free hits. You know, they've went down there and played freely because, you know, they knew they shouldn't have really been still in the tournament. But to go to take Livingston Scalt and beat them 3-0, there's not many teams that will go to Livingston, even Celtic Rangers.
Yeah.
You know, will not go to Livingston and beat them 3-0. So that is without doubt the standout result of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What better than the Motherwell one?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think a lot of people would have fancied Raith Rovers today.
Yep.
With Motherwell, but Livingston are flying. They're strong at home, and Inverness to go down there and win 3-0 is a fantastic result.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's full time at Tannadice. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1, which is a similar scoreline to what happened in the league a couple of weeks ago, and that means that Dundee United are out. And again, I think a lot of Dundee United fans will be again just, you know, letting their feelings known to the manager on that. Out of the cup, suddenly it becomes ever more difficult when you're in a relegation battle. You're out of the cup, you're out of both cups, and now you're looking at the fans and saying, well, we still want you to come back week in, week out and watch the relegation battle, because that's all Dundee United have got to look forward to now. Yeah,
as they've just got to try and stay in the division now. I think that you know, the cups can be a welcome distraction if you're down the bottom of the league, and Kilmarnock have obviously treated it today, you know, as a welcome distraction from the league campaign where we're sitting towards the bottom. But you know, Dundee United, you know, they've got a great tradition in the cup as well, you know, and their supporters will not be happy with that result today. They wanted a wee run in the cup, and maybe they gave them a few quid as well in the coffers. And that is a poor result at home to Kilmarnock, and by all accounts Kilmarnock deserve to win as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking, Tom, because you made a very pertinent point there that I thought to myself, not too many teams will have given Livingston an absolute hammering like that. Celtic took 3 off them at the Tony Macaroni Arena earlier on this season. Aberdeen thumped them 5-0 at Pittodrie. But other than that, it's all been tight games, 2-1s here and there. I mean, Hibs took 4 off them in the game at Easter Road, but other than that, it's all 2-1s, 1-0s. It's all very tight. So, you know, great result for Inverness to actually down there, and of course they're a lower league club. We're talking about teams that are in the Premiership who are beating them 3-4, but this is Inverness, so it's a great result.
No, it is, and Billy Dodds will be delighted. I think early in the season he was under a bit of pressure. I think they started the season really poorly, Inverness.
Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1, full time. Motherwell are out of the Scottish Cup, and I think there will be real problems. We will keep you up to date with what's going to happen.
Tam Cowan's thrown his scarf onto the park now.
Well, I was just going to say to you, if Tam Cowan is at Starks Park, he'll need to go by Harrier jump jet to the BBC studios, but he'll certainly be one of those guys who's absolutely gutted at what's happening there, because quite simply that is a terrible result for Motherwell. They were behind early on, and that first goal, I think, as Ali Graham mentioned to Patrick Mullen, our reporters there, that first goal was always going to be crucial, Tam.
Yep, I thought that as well. I think that if Motherwell got the first goal, you know, that big travelling support gets behind you. I've been in situations myself when you're under pressure and you've got a big travelling support, you know, a bit of expectancy, and if you go behind it can be hard, difficult to get on the ball and play. You know, Motherwell go 2-0 down, and you know, I'm sure the fans will absolutely slaughter them. So no, I think that's a real worry if you're a Motherwell supporter, a real worry if you're Stephen Hamill, because, you know, we went at the game, but by all accounts Raith deserved to win, and if it was a really dreadful performance, then I think Stephen could be in trouble.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Ayr United 2, Elgin 1, so in extra time Ben Dempsey scores from the penalty spot, and that is a bit of welcome relief there. Ayr now in front in that game. They were behind in the 90 minutes of regulation time, managed to get an equaliser, and I can tell you this Raith Rovers Motherwell, just in case you're joining us, Motherwell are out of the cup. Gullen with the penalty to set Raith Rovers on their way. Sam Stanton added the second. In the second half, 6 minutes into the second half, Kevin Van Veen got a goal back, but Ismail Goncalves scored with 5 minutes remaining, and that has sunk Motherwell. They are out. It's a great result for Ian Murray.
It is, and listen, I know Nid well. I call him Nid. Ian, I played with him at Hibs for 7-8 years. As I said, he cut his teeth at Dumbarton, got a big move to St Mirren, didn't work out at St Mirren. You know, dusted his cell down, went to Airdrie, done really well at Airdrie, and he's doing well at the Raith Rovers now. So you know, we're speaking about managers getting linked to jobs and different things. Ian Murray must be in the mix for a bigger job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to get my way for Raith Rovers or anything, but you know, he's working wonders with him. You know, that's a big scalp. He'll be buzzing tonight. I'll drop him a wee text later on and tell him well done. But you know, that's 2 big results for them. They beat Dundee in the Challenge Cup during the week as well. They're in the final of the Challenge Cup and then the next round of the Scottish Cup. So been a great week for Raith Rovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Was he a teammate of yours, Tam?
He was. Me and Ian played from Scotland under 15s all the way to when we were 23, 24 at Hibs. I've known him for a long time.
So he's good pals?
Good pals, yes.
But not good enough to get an invite to the big night tomorrow night at your house with the Super Bowl.
No.
Just want to get a level of the type of people who are getting invited. Is it major celebrities or is
No, it's just my mates from East Kilbride.
Just your mates from East Kilbride. So living in that area has to be a prerequisite.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Quite a lot of people.
You're not coming because after 2 beers you'd be dancing in the tables and all that.
Yeah.
You're nut.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it's hardened drinkers who are invited to Tam's house because I am, thankfully, a Toucan Dan. A lot of people just unhappy with the Motherwell. Johnny says Motherwell must get a new manager in as soon as possible. They are terrible, and I don't think too many people, Johnny, will be disagreeing with you there, because that scoreline is certainly going to send shockwaves right across a lot of people who are Motherwell fans. Of course, our very own Tam Cowan will be disgusted with it, but they're going to have to make a big call. Do they stick with Stephen Hamill and have confidence that he can turn it around? Of course, the evidence is there when the board look at the game and the way it all panned out. To lose 3-1, it's the manner of it that really increases the pressure.
I don't think there's any evidence. I mean, you can probably get this up on your computer now. You know, Motherwell's recent run of form. I think it might be two wins out of 15 or 2 wins out of 14. And that's, you know, when you're starting to slip towards the bottom of the league, and they lost 2 big games, you know, at Fir Park as well. So, listen, I think Stephen's under serious pressure now. You know, the supporters tonight on social media coming back for the game, listening to the radio and stuff like that. You know, they'll be. I think that the majority of them will want a new manager in. I don't think they'll have any confidence in Stephen to get them out of trouble. Yeah, it's 1 win in 13, Tam. It's not good, and only 4 draws within that. There's a lot of heavy defeats. Yeah, and as I said, he signed a few players in the January window there. So, you know, I don't. Stephen's a pal of me. I don't want to be shouting for him to get sacked, but at the end of the day, results. When you go into football management, you know the pitfalls. You need to get results. You need to get wins, or else you're going to be under pressure. And sadly for Stephen, that the last couple of months has not been good enough, and culminating in that result today. We'll go over the teams from Celtic against St Mirren. It's a 5:30 kick-off there. We'll also hear from Michael Beale and Ian McCall ahead of the match tomorrow. Rangers against Partick Thistle, that's one to look forward to. And we'll look a little further ahead to Monday, where Darvel take on Falkirk. Can it be another one of those unbelievable nights for Mick Kennedy's boys? Well, certainly they've got more than a few players who actually could play at a higher level, so I don't think for 1 minute that John McGlynn is fooled by the fact that so many people are highlighting Darvel are in the 6th tier of Scottish football. There are players that he has identified who could easily, and we all know them, who could easily play at a higher level. I mean, Ian McShane has a League Cup winners medal with Ross County in his tail. Yeah, they've got some very good players, very experienced players down at Darvel, and listen, I know a lot about them. You know, I've seen them a few times playing, but they surprised me with the quality of the football they played. You know, sometimes people would think, oh, it's a lower league team, they'll just lump up the pitch, they'll be physical, you know, they'll dig in, but I thought Darvel played a lot of really good football. They were well organised, you know, good structure, you know, fit. You know, when you play, if you're a Premier League team, you play a lower league team, you think, well, fitness in the last 20 minutes will tell. I don't think it did at all. I thought Darvel looked every bit as fit as Aberdeen, so I'm really looking forward to that game. I think that'll be a cracking cup tie. Falkirk will take a big support down there as well. They're going well at the minute, and full house on the TV. Now I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, quick summary of the lower league scores.
Scottish League 1, Airdrieonians 3, Dunfermline 4. They were getting battered, Dunfermline, and came back and scored.
Can you imagine people deleting
goals.
Things from social media? Can you?
Absolutely.
Big Pake,
3-0 down to Airdrie. Come on. Scottish League 2, Albion Rovers 0, East Fife 1, Dumbarton 2, Annan 1, Forfar 1, Stenhousemuir 1, and Stranraer 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. The scorelines there from full time. But the Scottish Cup is where everybody's really been looking at the scores and wondering if there was going to be a shock. We suggested it yesterday on the show, and it has materialised. Didn't take a rocket scientist to come up with the fact that Raith Rovers were well capable of producing the shock, and they have. They've knocked Motherwell out of the Cup. They've won today at Starks Park by 3-1. Elsewhere, Livingston out of the Cup. We're talking about lower league sides into the last 8, the quarterfinals, and one of them is Inverness. Remember, they were reinstated after a technical error on Queen's Park's part. They're back in. They went to the Tony Macaroni Arena and they've defeated David Martindale's side by 3-0. Let's get a report on that match from Kerry Pollock.
Full time here at the Tony Macaroni Arena, and this was a game where not many would have expected a Scottish Cup upset. However, the scoreline reads at full time: Livingston 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 3. It was a slow start in the first half in terms of scoring goals, but not shy of opportunities. Stephen Bradley's free kick was tipped over the bar, and Daniel Mackay's cross flashed across the face of goal, just too quick for Billy Mackay to get his foot on it. However, into the second 45, and that's when Inverness really started to kick into gear. It was Billy Mackay that opened the scoring for Inverness as he got on the end of Henderson's long ball to beat Shamal George. Inverness then doubled their lead through Sean Welsh's header. It hit the inside of the post and into the back of the net it went, and then to really rub the salt into the Livingston's wounds here today, it was Billy Mackay once again. 8 goals in 7 games for the striker, with a lovely strike into the top corner. Full time here at the Tony Macaroni Arena, and the scoreline is today: Livingston 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 3.
Yeah, well, Kerry telling the story there. Nobody expected it, but they've delivered it.
Yeah, I mean, nobody expected that result. I think you could see maybe Raith Rovers getting a result against Motherwell, but not a lot of people outside Inverness would have seen, they coming down to Livingston and winning 3-0. It was a man of the defeat as well for Livingston. I'm sure David Martindale will be, getting into them at full time. I think they've maybe a wee bit of complacency set in. With a lower league team coming down to Livingston and picking up a result. They expected Livingston to go and win that tie, but fair play to Billy Dodds. As I said earlier in the season, he was under pressure. They struggled, but to come down and beat Livingston 3-0 is a massive result.
Yeah, Ayr United are now 3-1 up in that match against Elgin. Akinyemi has scored, and that looks as if that will put them into a really strong position for going through in that match. But it's the quarter-final, is certainly some interesting reading, because a lot of lower league teams still represented, and let's not forget Darvel or Falkirk could be in the mix as well. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. The goal scored by Kyle Vassell for Kilmarnock. A lot of people wondering whether, Derek McInnes's anger at losing Kyle Lafferty and not getting a replacement was one issue, but where the goals were going to come from, because over the last few weeks the main hero for Kelly has been Daniel Armstrong, but Kyle Vassell steps up to the plate, and it take nothing away from Kilmarnock on this. Even though Dundee United were down to 10 men, Tam, they were down to 10 men with 12 minutes remaining, so Kelly still had the lead when it was 11 against 11.
Yeah, listen, I think it's Dundee United went into that game trying to get in the next round of the Cup, try to take their mind off the league campaign. Big game for the whole club, and Kilmarnock got up there, fair play to Derek McInnes, Tony Docherty. They got a game plan, got up there, you execute it. Christian Doyle scored last week, and then defeat to Kilmarnock, and then Vassell scored this week. So suddenly, they're getting a couple of strikers who are starting to score goals. And I think that's Kilmarnock's problem, is scoring goals this season. One's enough today. The defence keeps a clean sheet, but all that matters in Scottish Cup games is getting through to the next round, and you've got to congratulate Kilmarnock on a massive result. Yeah, absolutely. Davy Martindale should send me the coupon winnings for the coupon his mob has just actually done in. There's a few like it. There's a few
yeah, absolutely there are. And I like Iron Blue, who says Super Cali go ballistic, Livy are atrocious. Yep. I have to say there are not many better headlines in football. Yep. For the sub-editor who came up with it. It was absolutely superb. But all eyes on Starks Park, of course. We've delivered the news. Raith Rovers celebrating, their fans going home happy. it's an angry Motherwell set of supporters and a disconsolate Stephen Hamill. Let's get the story of it all with Ali Graham, a former Raith Rovers and Motherwell player. He's with Patrick Mullen.
Full time here at Starks Park, and it has finished. Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1. It is the Championship side that has dumped Motherwell out of the Cup to progress into the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup. They got 2 goals in the first half coming from Gullen and Stanton. That meant they were in complete control at half time. Motherwell pulled one back just 5 minutes after the break, after Van Veen's deflected strike found its way into the back of the net, but they were poor after that, and Raith Rovers finished this game off. It was debutant Isma Gongalves who got on the end of a through ball, and his strike into the bottom left hand corner finished this one off. What a result this is, Ali Graham, for the Championship side.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, they had to ride the storm at the start of the second half with Van Veen's deflected shot, but Motherwell never ever threatened after that. A deflected shot hit the bar, but apart from that, Raith held on. They then went on the break. Gongalves beat the offside trap and fired past Liam Kelly to give the Championship side the win. A fantastic result for Raith Rovers, and they're on to the next round.
A cup upset here in Kirkcaldy. We'll be speaking to Ian Murray and Stephen Hamill, who is under immense pressure right now as Motherwell boss. But full time here at Starks Park, it has finished. Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1.
Look at those two. Honestly,
Can I
just say something to you? It's exactly like it, isn't it? It's like father and son are on tour, but the two of them have been cuddling into each other, making sure they're in the shot for every part of the afternoon. Great there from Patrick Mullen, conveying the excitement of it all. And by the way, I thought Ali was going to spontaneously combust. He's delighted, of course, because Ali knows what it's like to win a cup with Raith Rovers.
He does. Raith Rovers legend, as all the players that won that cup final against Celtic back in the 90s, so I'm sure he'd have been supporting Raith Rovers today. But no, as I said, a brilliant result for Raith. A team that's doing really well. Ian Murray doing well. That's team in the final of the Challenge Cup, and then the last, was that last 8 now?
Yeah.
Of the Scottish Cup. So no, he's doing a very good job there, Ian Murray.
Yeah, Aldo says, "Hi Peter, did you get the wee guy straight from school?" Pat? No, Ali's 57. But to be fair, Patrick, the problem is when you've got Ruffy and you've got a few of us who are just a wee bit older, once you see our reporters who are Kerry and Adam and the future
mix.
It's a great mix. It's a good mix on the programme, and hopefully you enjoy our coverage, and of course all the people who are actually bringing you the results from all the matches. We'll hear from Claire Kinnear to get her thoughts on that Dundee United defeat today, which knocks them out of the Scottish Cup as well, and maybe it just intensifies the pressure on Liam Fox with that defeat, because they're at the bottom end of the Scottish Premiership as well and still trying to get away from the danger. They just can't get a trick out of them. Ayr United now 4-1 up against Elgin. Akinyemi again getting the goal, so Ayr are going into the draw for the quarterfinals. And I think when you look at it, a lot of people would have said, get to quarterfinals, semi-finals, you don't want to face Livingston. Now we're looking at it, we're saying to ourselves, well, Rangers, if they can get past Partick Thistle tomorrow, Celtic if they get past St Mirren tonight, you've got Rangers, Celtic and Hearts are in the mix. The rest of them, there are a lot of teams. Killy's form's not great either, so you're looking, you're saying to yourself,
you're trying to avoid Celtic Rangers, I think.
Absolutely you are.
You'd rather take them in the final, or maybe a semi-final, but you're trying to avoid them. There's a lot of teams in there who want to draw each other. United are going through, Darvel or Falkirk, Inverness, Raith Rovers. So there's a lot of teams in the lower leagues who are going to be in the last 8, and you'll be hoping that they draw each other and they can get a wee trip to Hampden.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, if you are posting on our feed, give us your thoughts on the Scottish Cup today. It's always good to get your thoughts on the games that have been played. Did you actually anticipate, as we did, Raith Rovers defeating Motherwell? I thought that was a surefire certainty, and so it's proved. I certainly didn't see Livingston getting knocked out, and the way they were knocked out as well. I cannot wait to hear the interview with David Martindale. I hope we can get him on before the end of the programme. We might have to bleep it out, Tam, to be honest with you.
He's going to be tearing strips off them. If you thought being 1-0 down against Stenhousemuir was bad at half time, coming in after getting whipped 3-0 at home off Inverness, I think he'll be absolutely raging with that performance. Because listen, again, every penny's a prisoner for Livingston. You know, a good cup run for them, you know, gives him extra money in his budget in the summer. So no, that's a, you know, you can't really say that too often about David Martindale and Livingston. You know, the results don't happen very often, but a real off day for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always tell when Tam's watched a movie and then it just enters into a vocabulary. Clearly he's been watching Babylon, because he's, you know, that team's just been whipped there. Suddenly these things...
I've not seen it.
Have you not? I'm amazed, by the way.
Ruffy's seen it 5 times, but
I know.
He just paused it at the start, so it must be a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. I must admit, when I listen to you give with your patter, I think to myself, I haven't heard that since 5th year in the playground, you know, at school. Some of the lines that come out of you, Tam. Listen, we'll be heading to Tannadice to hear Claire Kinnair's assessment of Dundee United's exit from the Scottish Cup. But the big story is Raith Rovers have knocked Motherwell out of the Cup, and we will hear from undoubtedly a delighted Ian Murray. He'll try and keep a lid on his excitement on this one, but it's a good win for them. Stephen Hamill, I'll be amazed if we get him in before 6 o'clock, Tam, because at times he's the type of manager who sits in there and he goes through them, and I think he'll be in there just at this moment. Will he have enough time to, you know, read them the riot act before someone actually comes in to have a chat with him? I think it could be a big night. You know, I don't like to see managers get sacked, but sometimes Stephen will know, like everybody else, it's a results-driven business.
Yeah, it looks kind of inevitable at the minute. The way Motherwell are playing, the performances, the results. You know, he's not getting a tune out the players. You know, he signed loads of players in the January window. I'm sure a few of them played today. Sometimes it's just there's nothing more you can do. You can rollick them in the dressing room. You can rollick them in training. You can put your arm around them. You can see they're good players. You know, but sometimes you're running out of ideas, and just at the minute with Motherwell, it looks as if it's just inevitable that there's going to be a change. Yeah, okay. Dipo Akinyemi has scored for Ayr United that made it 4-1 in that match that went to extra time. Still ongoing at the moment. We're into the latter stages of it now, but I think safe to say Elgin are not going to produce a Dunfermline comeback against Ayr United. Talking about which, Ayr Driones were 3-0 up in Dunfermline, and then boom, in it came 4 goals to win it 4-3. James McPake must have had a stern team talk at half time, and they fought back in that League One match. But Ayr United 4, Elgin City 1. They'll be in the quarter-final draw. We're not too far away from kick-off Celtic against St Mirren. We'll hear from Ian McCall and Michael Beale ahead of Rangers against Partick Thistle, and then we'll look ahead and get Tam's thoughts on Darvel against Falkirk. The way this is shaping up, the amount of lower league teams and probably less fancied teams in the quarter-final draw is certainly going to be, it's great financially for these clubs when you consider what they've had to put up with over the last 2 or 3 years. So it's good to get a good bit of finance into the coffers. Sometimes it helps with the manager, sometimes it helps with ongoing costs. Let's go to Tannadice, because Claire Kinnair watched Dundee United go out of the Scottish Cup, Kilmarnock getting that all-important goal.
Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1 is how it's finished here at Tannadice this afternoon, meaning Kilmarnock head through to the quarter-finals of the Scottish Cup. It was a pretty uneventful first half, a couple of penalty claims from either side actually after suspected handballs, but with no VAR here, both claims were dismissed. 10 minutes into the second half, Danny Armstrong stepped out to take a corner for Kilmarnock. He puts it nicely into the box, and Kyle Vassell headed it into the net, making it Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. After that, Liam Fox's side went down to 10 men after Aina receives his second booking of the day, and it was a strong 10 men left on the pitch for Liam Fox. Aziz Behich took a long shot, and it was a superb ball, however, hit the crossbar, keeping the score as it was. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1.
Yeah, even with 10 men, as Claire's highlighted there, they made a fight of it, but it wasn't enough. Killier through. Derek McInnes has had a rough couple of weeks, obviously, with what's happened with Kyle Lafferty and his displeasure at not being able to get somebody in as a replacement. And then when you look at the predicament, they're not out of the mire yet at the bottom end of the table. So that's a welcome result for Derek.
Yeah, as I said, it's a big result for them. They're obviously in a relegation battle at the bottom of the league, alongside Dundee United and a couple of other teams. So, all of these teams are literally one game away from getting to Hampden. And Kilmarnock have already been there this season, obviously against Celtic. And made a few quid out of that if they can get back to Hampden again. If Derek McInnes can get them to a couple of semi-finals this season and stay in the league, then it's been a good season for Kilmarnock. So, depending on the draw, you look at Darvel against Falkirk, one of the teams could be in the last 8, one game for Hampden as well. So, this is the romance of the Cup. This is why we love the Scottish Cup. You like to see, the smaller teams get a wee chance of getting to Hampden, and there's certainly 3 or 4 who have not beaten Hampden in a while who are in the mix to get back.
Yeah, not too far away from Celtic kicking off against St Mirren. Celtic with that usual 4-3-3. It mixes it up from time to time when the likes of Johnson and Taylor go into that inverted fullback role, which annoys the life out of everybody. What are you doing? Where are you going? Get to your usual position. But Celtic with Joe Hart in goal, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carol Starfelt and Greg Taylor across that back 4, and then the 3 in the middle, David Turnbull, Callum McGregor and Aaron Moy, with Jota, Maeda and Kyogo in that front 3, which at times will change from left to right. They have got that freedom up there to roam about, move about, and obviously try and get in behind what Georgios Giacomakis has mentioned over the last 24 hours is so many teams that try and just sit in and frustrate Celtic to see if they can catch them on the counter. Well, it's St Mirren who've got that chance to do that at Celtic Park. Trevor Carson in goal, then it's Ryan Strain, Marcus Fraser, Alexander Gogic, Declan Gallagher, Scott Tanzer, and that front midfield is Keanu Bacchus, Mark O'Hara and Richard Taylor, and the front 2, Alec Grieve and Curtis Main, although those 2 boys will have to graft and try and help their midfield out, as well as trying to get the team up the park when they do have possession, Tav, which is always difficult because even when Celtic don't have the ball, the work rate is incredible.
Yeah, it is, and listen, it's difficult to play against Celtic. They've got so much energy in the front areas, they press with the front, and obviously the 5 subs I've spoken about so many times. You can freshen things up after an hour. Players are starting to get tired, you can bring 3 or 4 players on. So, no, listen, it's going to be a very difficult night for St Mirren. I think they've got to score first to have any chance. I think if they score first, then that's got a wee chance that Celtic could get spooked, and maybe that could be a shock in the cards. But if Celtic score first, then and St Mirren have to come out and try and get a goal, then it's just going to open up more space for Celtic to go and get more goals. Yeah,
the big story of the afternoon, the teams that are going through into the quarter-final draw. Dundee United are out, it's Kilmarnock going through. Elsewhere, Raith Rovers defeated Motherwell. They'll be in the draw, as well as, of course, it looks as if Ayr are going to make it through as well now, Tam. They're 4-1 up in that match, so I don't think anybody is going to suggest that Elgin, in fact I think that's heading towards full time after extra time. Elsewhere, Inverness Cally Thistle through after a thumping 3-0 win over Livingston. So that's the story of the afternoon in the Scottish Cup 5th round ties. Celtic against St Mirren will kick off in 9 minutes, and then tomorrow it's going to be Rangers against Partick Thistle. 2 managers, Michael Beale and Ian McCall. Friends since Beale returned to Glasgow. I think Michael Beale, the Rangers manager, was very appreciative of the friendship he's built up with Ian McCall and some of the things that they've exchanged with each other.
Became a bit of a friend in that time as well. He sent me a lovely letter when I got my job at QPR, which was lovely of him to do, a nice gesture that managers do for each other. I thought he showed a touch of class. He's someone that we've loaned players to before and loaned players to this year. He's someone that I know outside of football, and I wish him well. I look at his squad and they've got a lot of SPL experience in the team. So I think it'll be an interesting game. They're bringing 2,500 fans as well, which shows the support they've got.
Nice touch by Ian McCall, by the way. I mean, managers, you often think that, they've got their own job to do, they'll be caught up in that, but it's a nice touch when you actually appreciate what someone else is doing.
Yeah, I think the master of that was Alec Ferguson. I think he was always a manager's man. He would go and send letters to, as I said, managers. It's a tough job being a manager. It's something that I don't really fancy, to be honest. I think that the pressure you're under at the top level is immense now with social media and supporters and they want instant success, so it's a very difficult job. So I think there is a lot of respect between managers who are in the same situation. They know what managers are going through when they get beaten on Saturday, and they can't wait to the next game. So no, I think there's a real camaraderie amongst football managers, because they all know how difficult a job it is.
Yeah, Ian McCall, the Partick Thistle boss, even if he doesn't guide his side past Rangers in this 5th round tie tomorrow, he's well aware that the Jags will bank a nice bit of money, much needed money at that.
Yeah, I'm very aware of the financial stuff that's going on at the club, so I think it's very welcome. I think the players have, in terms of budgets, you always budget to go out in the first round of every cup, and we've got to quarter-finals of the League Cup, and we're in the last 16 against Rangers at Ibrox, so it's a serious amount of money they've brought in.
Yeah, I think that's, the key issue here is that suddenly there's a fan ownership that's now taking place at Partick Thistle. They benefited greatly from Chris Weir's money at the time when he won the lottery, and obviously had Partick Thistle close to his heart. But they now have a situation where every penny's a prisoner at times. You've got to be really astute with the players that you buy. They've got to contribute. And obviously, I think the expectation with the budget that they've spent on players, I think a lot of people are expecting maybe Partick Thistle to be not just trying to get into the playoff, but one of the Stonewall certainties for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think when you look at the squad that Partick Thistle have got, and Michael Beale touched on it there, they've got a lot of players that have played in the Premier League, a lot of experience in their team. They've got a couple of promising young players from Rangers who loaned them. So, you would think that Partick Thistle would have been challenging with Dundee and Ayr United, teams like that at the top of the end of the table. They started the season well, Partick Thistle, but they had a real rocky patch. That I think they're just sitting. I don't know how that result in Morton today affects that, but I think Thistle were just sitting in the last playoff spot. So I think as long as Partick Thistle are in the top 4, then I think Ian and the club will be fine. But if they drop out, if they don't make the playoffs this season, then it's desperately disappointing for Partick Thistle with the squad they've got and the kind of budget.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll be looking to the likes of the experience of 35-year-old, hard to believe, at 35 now, Brian Graham, but he still managed to get himself 12 goals this season, and he is, like so many of his teammates, confident they can put up a real fight at Ibrox tomorrow.
I watched him actually against Hearts. Played particularly well, but then they go and have a wee sticky spell against Ross County at the weekend. So if we can go there with our game plan and implement that, then we're giving ourselves a right chance. We're not going there just to think it's just a game we're going to enjoy, we're going to get beat. No, we're going there to win. It's a cup tie.
Okay, mega confident Brian. Good luck to that. Even though Rangers are not, flying, and what you would suggest was the way Michael Beale really wants them to play. They've had some really good performances that have suggested there's more to come from Rangers, obviously against Hearts, but he's still not happy with the way it's looking at Ibrox.
Yeah, he's still not. I said yesterday in the show, he's not had a complete performance at Ibrox in terms of a 90-minute performance where they go and take all their opportunities that they create and they win 4 or 5-0. They had it at Hearts. Brilliant performance. Took a lot of their chances and they totally dominated the game from start to finish. They'll be looking to do the same against Partick Thistle tomorrow. But like any cup tie, if you're an underdog, you need to score first. And if Partick Thistle can go to Ibrox and score first, then you might have a wee upset, but if Rangers score first, then it's just going to be a comfortable one. Yeah,
John Lundstrom's not going to make this one. Obviously, the worry is that you're wondering if that little injury he's picked up will rule him out of the final against Celtic, 26th of February at Hampden for the Viaplay League Cup final. But I think the manager was confident enough to suggest that he will be back and available, which will be a huge bonus for them. One of the bits of news that I caught this morning, which would be a worry, I know a lot of Rangers fans have looked at Malik Tillman and his performances and thought, well, if Bayern Munich will allow it, he'd be a good buy. But Bayern Munich are suggesting that maybe there's a pathway to the first team for Tillman. They've been impressed with him.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season he was, I don't think he was hitting his straps in terms of consistency, his performance, but I think over the last month, I think he's really come onto a game under Michael Beale, under the new manager. He's influencing games now, he's scoring goals, he's creating goals, and he's looking a real top player. There's no doubt in his ability, he's got everything. He's physical, he's quick, he's strong, technically he's very good, he can create, he can score goals, he's young. So I think that Rangers would want to buy him if possible. At the start of the season, maybe after a month or two, you thought, I don't think Rangers are going to pay that money for him. But now, the way he's playing, you're thinking it'd be a good investment for Rangers. So whether Bayern Munich want him back for their first team, if they do want him back, then that's it. He's not going to be signing for Rangers. So if he's got an opportunity to go and play in Bayern Munich's first team, then he's going to go and take that. But I think there's a lot more to come for him. I think he's a very, very talented player, but he just needs to keep doing what he's doing on a consistent basis.
Yeah, the other worry about it is if Bayern Munich are willing to sell him, are they willing to sell him for the money that Rangers want to shell out? Because Michael Beale will have a budget and he'll be looking and saying, where am I going to get value for money? Will it be with Malik Tillman? Would you like to see him there? The big stories today, it was Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1, Livingston 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 3, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. Good win for Derek McInnes there. And Ayr United 4, Elgin 1 is how it finished after extra time. So Ayr United able to come back after going a goal down and comfortably through in the end against Elgin by 4-1. Celtic against St Mirren is possibly 60 seconds away from kicking off. We'll keep you up to date with the first half hour on that one. Every Saturday 4 o'clock till 6. Tam's here with me. Bit of banter, bit of interaction with you. You can give us your thoughts on the stories that have been emerging today and of course the results. A lot of Motherwell fans unhappy with what they've witnessed. You can give us your thoughts on that. We'll look ahead to Darvel against Falkirk, but let's hear from a very, very happy Kilmarnock boss, Derek McInnes, on that win today at Tannadice against Dundee United.
We've won games in the League Cup this season away from home, but obviously it's well documented that we're form on the road, and we picked a team to go back to basics really. We wanted to play percentages, make sure first and foremost we didn't lose the tie before we gave ourselves a chance to win it. We had a very good performance at home at Dundee United last week, and I thought we bounced into the Livingston game last week confident and good reference point for a lot of the players, the level of performance. And then for the opening 20 minutes at Livy didn't recognise it, so we wanted to make sure we got a strong start in the game. Didn't need to win it, as I said, in that first 20 minutes, but we needed to make sure we had a good shape about us.
Well, happy man, Kyle Vassell scoring the all-important goal, and as you can see there, he possibly looking at shoots of recovery, then a little setback. Then today, I think the whole board will look at that and say, well done, Derek, that's more money in the kitty. You never know, they might even get the live game in the quarter-final.
Yep, as I said, they got to the semi-final of the League Cup. They got a good tie against Celtic, must have made a few quid, and they'll be looking to probably stay away from Celtic Rangers in the next round if both get through, and try and get a tie that they're capable of winning. So no, it's a fantastic result for Kilmarnock, for Derek. As I said, he's coming up from the Championship. I think for them, just staying in the league would be a good season. But if they can get to Hampden twice, 2 semi-finals, if possibly even a final, then a good season turns into a really good season financially for them.
Yeah, I know we've been debating that there's only 2 games that have VAR in operation. One of them is Celtic against St Mirren. The other will be Rangers against Partick Thistle. A lot of people are saying, look, it's all or nothing. I don't think that's feasible when you consider the financial constraints on so many clubs who are in the early rounds of the Scottish Cup. Nor is it financially possible for some of the lower league clubs. Even in the Championship, they would struggle. As David Martindale mentioned, £10,000 sometimes it's out of his budget on a regular basis for the home matches. So with that in mind, you and I suggested semi-final and final would be a fair time for the cup competition to have VAR.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the semi-final and the final, you want to get all the big decisions right, in terms of winning cups. It's not always feasible at some of the low league teams away from home. They've not got the facility for VAR. So I think semi-final, final at Hampden, I think that would be in everyone's interest, to get the big decisions right, to have VAR in place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still not right. We're still tweaking it. We're still looking for referees to be able to make the call even after they've been advised by VAR as well. And of course the other thing about it is we're crying out for referees they're under a lot of pressure. I think because there's been so many mistakes, not many people are sympathetic towards the plight that the referee has.
Yeah, listen, it's a very difficult job to referee. Ruffy spoke about it a couple of weeks ago when he refereed a game and never refereed another one. I remember in at Falkirk, I picked up an injury, a long-term injury, and I was just coming back to training and Stephen Presley says, listen, come out and referee the games. Get yourself ball for the boys. And honestly, after about 5 minutes, I was like Elvis. I was like, just here, take the whistle. I don't want it.
Yeah.
It was a throw-in. No, it was their ball. Oh, it's your ball. And it was just.
What, you were unable to make a decision from a throw-in?
No, I was getting slaughtered off by the boys. And that's a foul. No, it's no. So it's a very difficult job to be a referee, and especially under the scrutiny now with VAR. every big decision, is getting scrutinised with us, with the media, with fans. So listen, it's a difficult job, and it's VAR's in to help them, but it seems to be at the minute it's kind of hindering, which isn't ideal. But I'm sure this time next season it'll be a lot smoother, and they'll be getting a lot of other big decisions right, we hope.
Well, we try and bring you as many of the interviews as possible. The managers will come out quickly. Johnny has just posted on his feed here, Hamill must be sacked as soon as possible. Come on the well. Well, Johnny, you're going to be disappointed. We're just not going to have Stephen Hamill, because the word out there from our reporter Patrick is that Stephen Hamill will not speak to the press today. Now, sometimes managers do take the hump and they're not going to come out for a press conference, but sometimes that's really a precursor to something else that's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it, I think he knows. I think he knows maybe it's coming. He knows he's going to get some hard questions from reporters, and listen, it's a tough time for him at the minute. But the Motherwell fans going back in the cars, back to Motherwell, wherever they're from, after getting beat 3-1 and knocked out the Scottish Cup, I think that the majority of them will be wanting a new manager. It's been ruthless this season. Has it been more ruthless than other seasons, the way the pressure has been really kind of put on managers this season? Because all you have to do is look at the debacle at Aberdeen, Tam, and suddenly, your pal Stephen Glass gone, then in came Jim Goodwin, then high hopes there, and then gone, and now they're possibly looking at even Barry Robson. They're considering Barry Robson now. For me, I like Barry Robson. I thought he was a really, really good player, but I still think that would be a precarious appointment for Aberdeen if they were to do that. Yeah, it just shows you how hard it is as a job. You look at all the managers been sacked this season. Jim Goodwin, at Aberdeen, Jack Ross at Dundee United. Guys that done well at previous clubs come in, they were sacked before the season was out. There's other managers, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, sacked. So it's a very difficult job at the minute. And listen, you've just got to go and try and get results. And if you don't get results, you're going to be under pressure. And you know that when you get into the job, Peter. Yeah. If you don't get results, with the pressure of social media now, the media, the intensity, everything, Scottish football. We've seen the other day, per person, per capita, we're one of the best supported countries in Europe for football. We're football madness country. Yeah, we're obsessed with football, and if you're not getting results, people are going to talk about it. Yeah, well, some managers actually do front up when they suffer a defeat, certainly an unexpected one. Here's the Livingston boss, David Martindale.
I've got to look at myself. I've got to have a period of reflection also, as we are. I think as individuals, we know we can do better. We will do better, but at cup football you don't get a second bite of this, and that's where the bitterly disappointing part comes in. It was an opportunity to progress to the quarter final of the Scottish Cup, and we never took it.
Well, he's always honest in his assessment. I thoroughly enjoyed his company in here. Not mincing his words there, and you can read between the lines. Some individuals didn't step up for him today. Yep, he's probably made a couple of changes today to give people maybe a run out that's not been playing, and they've not took that opportunity. I'm sure he'll be bitterly disappointed with that result, but I said it doesn't happen very often. You're going to have off days as a football, as a team, as a player, as a manager, and that was just an off day, for Livingston. But you've got to give Inverness a lot of credit as well. They've obviously come down, played really well, and got a great result to go back up the road. The Inverness fans that travelled down will be travelling back up in the bus, delighted with that result. And as we say, it's Inverness under Big Yogi. They won it. They beat Falkirk in the final. They're a team, a bit of pedigree in cup competitions. Yeah, I like a lot of people who actually say to us, thank you very much for the compliments. Listen, we take it in the neck as well. We get we get pelters, and we've had a few rough ones over the last few months, I have to be honest with you. But thank you to so many of you for the compliments. Robert, and and I can tell you right now, just an update that's coming through to me, Stephen Hamill has left the ground, but he has not been sacked. So, not speaking to the press, but I can tell you that Stephen Hamill has left Starks Park, but he has not been sacked at this moment. That's the news coming out of Kirkcaldy after a 3-1 defeat to Raith Rovers. Motherwell out of the cup and languishing in the bottom end of the Scottish Premiership with I think 1 win in 14 was what I mentioned to you, Tom. It's not good. The Motherwell fans are not happy. Alan Burrows, who's certainly one of the most popular chief executives in the country and highly regarded and respected, is off to Aberdeen shortly, and I think there's a lot of questions being asked of the Motherwell board and almost certainly on the Motherwell manager for the performances. But he's left Starks Park and he's not been sacked, as the early information coming in there from Kirkcaldy. We've heard from David Martindale, we've heard from Derek McInnes. If we can get other managers out there to you, all I would say is thank you to Robert, who says hi, great show, balanced views, brightens any 4 o'clock in the afternoon and midweek, made better of course by the Saturday Extra as well, and there's lots more programming coming on. It's nice to get some compliments. It's also nice to get leathered as well every now and then. Jason Craig has said to us, Peter, I have to leave you now, Saturday night is chipper night, I'll see you Monday. And I know exactly what Jason is talking about, because there is nothing better, Sam. Oh, fish supper.
What would you get out of the chippy?
Oh, sausage supper.
The jumbo sausage, the smoked sausage, or
not the smoked, the battered one, and then a wee bit of brown sauce on it. And if you were really
salt and sauce or salt and vinegar?
Well, to be fair, that's a good question. You're loading me in here, by the way. I would actually go. I'd probably go salt and vinegar, and then put a wee bit of sauce on later.
See, I prefer salt and sauce.
Do you? Yeah. I'm not knocking you.
You can't see that through in Glasgow.
No, you
get a chippy and get salt and sauce like that, get out.
Yeah. Well, I think Jason might be from Aberdeen. I'm not sure, but he's away for a chippy. And by the way,
my wife gets a pizza crunch, the deep fried pizza.
Your wife needs to have a long hard look at herself. By the way, nobody should put a pizza in a deep fried fryer.
Cruncher called.
Yeah. No, do you know what it's called? It's called an early heart attack. That's what it's called, Tom.
I like a smoked sausage.
Yeah.
Smoked sausage supper.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's all football chat, because quite simply, Jason's going to have a chippy, and if he's really lucky, sometimes, I don't know.
Tub of curry sauce with it.
What?
You tub of curry sauce with the chippy.
With the chips? No, I was just about to say a wee roll in butter.
And
then stick your chips on. That's
fritter. You like fritters?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Try not to tell me about that. I'm trying to cut down. But Iron Blue has just said salt and wit. So it's lots of people just having the debate about it. Salt and sauce, when I lived in Edinburgh, Tom, that was everywhere. You couldn't even contemplate saying no salt and vinegar. Gordon Herriot says, good show, I'm listening from Thailand. Good, they're all over the place watching the programme, expats, which is great.
That's somewhere I'd like to go. I'd like to go to Thailand.
Thailand, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
I'd also like to go to, is there anybody from Vietnam?
We have a Hibs fan who watches us from Vietnam.
Because I stayed on at school and done higher history. I love history. I'm really into history and wars and different things, and I'd love to go to Vietnam and see all the underground tunnels in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
They're still all there. You can do the tours and all that, and you can see all the underground villages and hospitals and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, to be fair, if you keep up your crap jokes, we'll put the money together and try and get you there quicker than you think. Anyway, the news from Kirkcaldy is that Stephen Hamill has left Starks
Park. Is Patrick Nally phoning him?
Surely they're telling him as we speak to find out what's happening. But he, at this moment, the word from Kirkcaldy is he hasn't been sacked. Has he resigned? That is not something that's coming through to us as well. So I think a lot of people are looking and wondering what's going to happen. The Motherwell fans have been venting their anger. No surprise they booed, because Motherwell just weren't at it. I mean, the half-time report alone told you Ali Graham just saying they were looking for Route 1 against a lower league side.
Yeah, but I've seen Raith Rovers a few times. One thing about Raith Rovers is they play good football. They've not got the type of players that can play Route 1. They've got the wee boy Easton in the middle of the park. They've got Vaughan up front, who's had a lot of injury problems, but is doing really well as well. Jamie Gullen, I know well from Hibs, young striker. So they play the ball on the ground, and that AstroTurf suits that. It lends to technical players. So No, I think it's just a really, really poor result, and there's no getting away for that, and the Motherwell fans will be desperately disappointed.
Yeah, can I just say to you, early reports that we're getting from Celtic Park is that St Mirren are really making a go of it as well. They're having a go. They're certainly not going to sit back. Not that we expect them to. Stephen Robinson will know that this is a hit. It's one of those free hits. They're not expected to win. Just have a go and see if you can produce something.
And the thing is, they've already beat Celtic this season. I know it was away, it was at home, but they've got that confidence in there, to go and try and get a result against Celtic. And you've got to go and attack. You can't sit and park the bus. You're as well getting beat 3 or 4-0, having a go, than getting beat 2-0, just sitting parking the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. Aldo says, now I'm going to go and get a sausage supper. You see how we influence people? Because we mentioned it, people get a wee taste for it and off and running, Even if I get through to Edinburgh tonight, I'm not going to get salt and sauce. Pudding? No, not black pudding. No. I can't remember anybody in Lanarkshire shouting out in the street I was in.
White pudding, I remember a white pudding.
Come in for your black pudding supper. No chance. It was sausage and 300 weight of potatoes.
Chineseness Saturday night.
Just to, listen, calm down. We're costing people a fortune here as we go through the whole menu. If you have indeed been with us for the duration on the Saturday 4 o'clock till 6, thank you. Don't forget, in the morning of a Saturday there's a preview with Tam, usually with Ruffy, and Kerry Pollock is the host of that show. It's going really well. Kerry is absolutely top drawer.
Yep, she is, and the quiz questions were great.
Yeah, okay. You won. It was a 1-0 victory.
Because you obviously never put them together like the week before.
Yeah, well, it was because basically I was so busy that I couldn't read it. And I can tell you that Celtic almost taking the lead in that match earlier on there. Maeda had hit the post, so they're getting close.
Yeah, and as I said, it's going to be backs to the wall for St Mirren for a lot of the game. They've got to defend really, really well and take whatever opportunities come their way, but Celtic usually fly at the traps. If you can keep it tight for the first 20 minutes, then you've got a wee chance.
Okay, we won't be too far away from giving you the full-time results before we go tonight, and we'll give you the update from Celtic Park and tell you exactly what's happening in that one. Still 0-0 at the moment, but the full-time scores from the Scottish Cup 5th round, I can tell the main stories today. It's Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1, Livingston 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 3, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. Derek McInnes, a happy man. We've heard from him on the programme. And Ayr United and Elgin, well, that match went into extra time, but Ayr United suddenly just started to show the quality and ended up winning it by 4-1. So Ayr United in there, Kilmarnock in, Inverness and Raith Rovers in the quarter-final draw for the Scottish Cup. Celtic and St Mirren battling it out. Rangers against Partick Thistle on the Sunday, and on the Monday, will it be Darvel or will it be Falkirk for you?
It's a hard one to call. I think Falkirk. I just think that they're in great form at the minute. John McGlynn has strengthened that squad massively in the window. I think they're 6 or 7 games undefeated, so I think that they can go down to Darvel and get a result, but I don't think it'll be easy. I think I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good tie.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to talk about that a wee bit later, but right now let's hear from a jubilant manager, the Raith Rovers boss, Ian Murray.
Yeah, we looked really dangerous. I think we've got good players. Honestly, we've got some of the players we've got in this team are really, really quality. They're not far off the Premier League themselves. Even a couple that could be in it. Well, Isma obviously on loan from there, and Willie, who wasn't playing today, from loan from Ross County. But players believe they're going to win games. They don't ever go out thinking they're not going to win games. They're certainly not scared of opposition. We'll give them all the respect that they deserve, and rightly so, but we're not scared of anybody. It's 11 men against 11 men at the end of the day, and it's normally the team who make the least mistakes win it.
Yeah, full master, Ian. He didn't hold back there. He knows the quality he has at his disposal. I mean, you and I looked at that whole situation and thought there's a cup shock on here, as many people did. And fair play to Ian. His side produced when people were looking and thinking, okay, this is your chance to get into the quarterfinals, and they've grasped it.
Yep, and as I said, they've got a lot of good players in that team at Raith Rovers. I've seen them a few times this season. They've got a lot of players that can step up, quality-wise and play in the Premier League, and they showed that today. And Ian, listen, he's doing a great job at Raith Rovers, and hopefully he can continue that.
Yeah, I can tell you Dyson Maeda has put Celtic ahead. They're now 1-0 up in that match, so they've got the early breakthrough. I think the best thing that possibly, Stephen Robinson would have been hoping for is to try and frustrate Celtic for that first 20 minutes as much as he possibly could, and then hopefully pick them off, if not on an open play, certainly from a set piece. But now the job becomes doubly difficult, because I always feel as if when Celtic score early, teams really sometimes can be overawed by it all.
Yeah, I think whenever you go to Celtic and Rangers, Ibrox, Parkhead, you try and keep it tight for the first 20 minutes. You don't want to let them get an early goal, because 9 times out of 10 they go and win the game comfortably. The longer you can keep it at 0-0, the more the fans will get in the players back. You can feel the tension on the pitch. You can feel the moans for misplaced passes. So no, I think that St Mirren's best chance was obviously scoring first today. By all accounts, they've had a go in the first 10-15 minutes, but that Celtic should go on and win the game comfortably now after getting an early goal.
Yeah, Maeda with a goal there. Elsewhere, down south in the English Premier League, there's a fair bit of consternation from the story that developed, not the European Super League, but the story that was developing about an investigation into the financial affairs at Manchester City. And I have to say that quite a few people have been very, very critical of City, and some obviously passing comment on what they think the findings will be. But there's a long way to go in this investigation. I think Pep Guardiola well peeved with a number of people who he believes have an agenda and have it in for City.
We are lucky we live in a marvelous country that we have a society when everyone, like you said, is innocent until proven guilty. We didn't have this opportunity. We are already sentenced and tough.
Yeah, he is not happy. It is a good line though, because quite simply, a lot of people are looking and saying, well, there's so many different areas of this investigation that have been highlighted. Surely they're guilty because we're watching them spend over £1 billion. But you've got to cut them some slack here and say, well, City have got to try and prove to everybody that there were substantial amounts of money coming in, whether it be sponsorship, whether we all raised our eyebrows and says, oh come on, you can't sponsor your training centre to that tune, you can't get the biggest sponsorship deal ever on your shirt when you're owned by a particular billionaire. And it's effectively a state-run club, Manchester City. I mean, that's what's happening now in the English Premier League. You're getting, the Emir of Qatar potentially could be buying Manchester United.
Yeah, I think it was American owners, wasn't it? Maybe 5-10 years ago, it was American owners coming in, American cash, coming into English football. Now it's Saudi Arabia, Dubai. It's big money over there coming in and trying to buy English clubs. So, listen, he's right. You're innocent until proved guilty. So it's up to Man City to have the facts and the figures to take to the Premier League and say, listen, this is the numbers here, and we're well within the fair play. So it's one that people look on in interest, because you look at the likes of Man City and Chelsea, the money they're spending. You're thinking to yourself, where are they getting this money for? How can they be within the parameters of FIFA fair play? And you're buying these guys at £100, £150 million. Yeah,
absolutely. We are paupers by comparison. Just hearing, Tam, that the goal that Celtic scored, of course, Daizen Maeda will get all the plaudits for putting the ball in the back of the net. But once again, Aaron Moy, with the assist, he's proved to be this season, the second half anyway, a really good asset for Celtic.
No, he has. I think he's brought in a free transfer. It was obviously somebody that Ange Postecoglou knew well from Australia. He brought him in, a lot of eyebrows raised. Thinking to yourself, is he going to play for Celtic? He's a bit of a squad play. He's been about a bit, a wee bit of a journeyman with different clubs. But particularly when they brought him in against St Mirren at New Love Street and they lost the game. He gets slaughtered that day, and a lot of Celtic fans made their mind up and says, he's not good enough. So, listen, I think he's come into the team and done really, really well. He's playing every week. He's getting his rhythm in terms of creating and scoring goals. So, and the Celtic fans seem to have took to him. He's a wee bit of a cult hero now. So, no, I think listen, Ange Postecoglou's recruitment has been spot on. He's only got Ideguchi and James McCarthy, off the top of my head, two that you would deem as failures.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, when the back pages, if you still buy newspapers, let me tell you, you'll probably be looking and saying, okay, the back pages will be dominated by Motherwell's defeat and the pressure that's on Stephen Hamill. If indeed by tomorrow Stephen Hamill is still the Motherwell manager because they were knocked out by Raith Rovers, it's certainly the big story at Starks Park, and certainly one of the big stories of the Scottish Cup. The other one, I think unexpected, was at the Tony Macaroni Arena. Kerry Pollock is still there at the moment. She's listened to both managers. I don't think even you anticipated that one, Kerry. Did you really think that Inverness were capable of coming down there and defeating Livingston?
Not at all, Peter. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming today. A Scottish Cup upset that wasn't on the cards, we didn't think, but Livingston just weren't at the races today at all. David Martindale says he has to have a look at himself and his players today. He obviously got the team selection wrong, but all credit goes to Inverness for their performance tonight.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, Kerry, is we will hear from Billy Dodds across all our social media, but I presume he has spoken to you. What was the main gist of what the Inverness boss had to say?
Yes, he has spoken to me. I rushed to get on the show there. He's just finished. He was absolutely delighted with his players today. He said it's the best performance he's seen since he's been manager at the club, and he's looking forward to the next round. He says you get a lot of bad luck in football, and obviously Inverness found themselves back in the competition after playing Queen's Park. But he says you have to take the good luck as well. He said there was no way they were going to come here and lie down to Livingston. They were going to give it their all, and that's exactly what they did, and he can't wait to see who they get in the next round.
Yeah, and the last question, we're not going to keep you any longer, Kerry. The last question is, Tam and I would like maybe a fish supper or a sausage supper. If it's a Saturday night, what is your choice of menu? What would you go for as the ideal meal for a Saturday night after watching a good Scottish Cup match?
Anything at all today. I'm just glad it didn't go to extra time and penalties today. Some of us have got nights out to go to on Saturday nights, but it was a great game of football today, especially for Inverness tonight. Billy Dodds did mention as well, though, that he would like to get a financial boost from whoever they get in the next round, but he's looking forward to it anyway.
Brilliant. That's Kerry just giving us a custard pie saying, I'm not telling you whether I'm going to a club. I'm not going to tell you what I'm eating or anything. I'm just going to go out there and enjoy yourself. Listen, Kerry, you've done a great job. Brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Getting in there right at the death. Absolutely magnificent. We've had reporters all over the place this afternoon. It's been absolutely brilliant. Adam Binney out there watching Celtic against St Mirren. The story of that match so far is Celtic have got that crucial opening goal from Daisen Maeda. Tomorrow it will be Rangers against Partick Thistle. We will obviously have the managers across our social media for you, and on the Monday as well, Adam will be and Kerry will be mobile again into Darvel against Falkirk, and we'll have the managers and the key players in that match, as that will conclude the quarter-final. Here's the full times in the Scottish Cup, 5th round this afternoon, and the latest score, I can tell you, Celtic 1, St Mirren 0, but elsewhere it was Hamilton Academicals 0, Hearts 2 from the Friday, Ayr United 4, Elgin City 1, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. I'm not quite sure why we put that graph up if we didn't have the actual scores in it. Honestly, we were going absolutely fantastically well there. Livingston 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 3, and Raith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1 is the full times there in the Scottish Cup. So all in all, I think the main story for everyone, of course, there's the shock at Livingston, but the big story is Stephen Hamill's future as Motherwell manager after being knocked out by the Championship side Raith Rovers.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key one tonight, is to see if Stephen's still been a job at Motherwell. Obviously, intense speculation, intense pressure on his position now after that result, and as I said, a lot of Motherwell fans coming back for that game today would have been wanting to change a manager. Sadly, for Stephen, it's just not happened for him, and we'll watch this space over the next maybe 24 hours and see what happens.
Yeah, Johnny says, I hope Tam Cowan is back on Monday. I don't, not really looking forward to him on Monday because he's due on Tuesdays. And it'll take him to Tuesday to recover, let me tell you. Thank you to everyone for their compliments about today's show. It's going to get bigger and better, and of course lots of our reporters will be out at the games trying to bring you all the latest news. Des says Kerry's away to Destiny to get a few...
Is that still going, Destiny?
No, I think it's shut down.
Is
Des, I might be wrong.
A good night in there.
Well, I was going to say Des remembers it, so
a good night in there.
There you have it. The answer to our question, when did Hearts last win the Scottish Cup? It was, of course, season 2011-2012. They thumped Hibs by 5-1, Tam. It was a painful one.
Yeah, it was a painful one. I can remember that one. And they won it, and I think they beat Gretna in the final. When was that? 2006 or 7?
Yeah.
They beat Gretna in penalties because I was at Dundee and we get beat off of Gretna in the semi-final.
Was Pat Fenlon the manager of Hibs?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Too many lone players, I remember, about that Hibs side. It just wasn't a settled side. Last chance. Here's the competition to see if you can win yourself that Rangers or Celtic book. We'll announce the winner on Monday.
This is your chance to win one of these fantastic books that looks back at the classic shirts throughout both clubs' history. You can read about your favourite shirt and your favourite season as a Celtic or Rangers supporter. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is tell us which book you would like to win in the comment section below. And to double your chances of winning, hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's been a great competition, and as Tam mentioned, he's already witnessed the fantastic prizes we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks.
The two strips, the next two prizes are well worth winning.
They are, aren't they?
They are
really
very,
good.
Very nice.
If you get a chance, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and I can tell you that over and above that, all you have to do is just answer a very simple question. It's as simple as that. The amount of people that have joined us, subscribing, telling their friends, not only on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football news, and as ever on a new Saturday show, obviously we are finding our feet, getting the reporters out there, and we try and get you the managers and players' reaction. What about the reaction from a delighted Billy Dodds from that win today against Livingston?
David, where they just thought, well, you stand aside now, you're lucky to be there. No chance. You got so much bad luck in this game, so any good luck you take and you capitalise on it. And I said that to my players before the game, and I thought we did. It's my best performance since I've been here, the players' best performance since I've been here. We've had some big results, and I go back to Arbroath beating Livingston here early in the season, but an all-round performance. I thought, from start to finish, getting your shape right, working hard, helping one another. I asked them to be a little bit braver at half time and pick the right pass, because I thought they were spooked a little bit, and we did that second half, and then we showed the ruthless side. So yeah, I'm delighted we're through, and we'll see what we get.
Yeah, well done to Billy Dodds. That was an excellent performance, and they're into the quarter-final draw. Who else is going to join them? Will it be Rangers or Partick Thistle, Darvel or Falkirk? Will it be Celtic or St Mirren? The latest score there is Celtic 1, St Mirren 0. It's been a good old afternoon.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been good. There's been a lot of good results coming through, big results, shock results, and it's been great to interact with the punters and that again.
Yeah, it could be salt and sauce, salt and vinegar. Who cares? As long as you enjoy your night out tonight. I'm certainly going to enjoy mine. I don't know if Tam and I are going to Destiny. In fact, none of us are hanging about with Tam now. There's a big huff because none of us are going to his house for the big Super Bowl party. Anyway, enjoy your weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday, 4 o'clock, PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. From all the team in PLZ Soccer, thank you for watching.